determination to conquer all my ambitions. Despite all the conditions, in light of my past decisions, made it to this position, and so my disposition, not seeing no limits, killing the competition. Yeah, I'm a beast, now I'm released, ready to feast, calm and peace, not the least.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the next podcast, guys. I started my intro and everything, and I forgot to unmute. So here we go again, guys. Here we go again. But for everybody tuning in on Mixer, what's going on, everybody? And for everybody on YouTube, people who have been supporting the channel, what is up? We are restreaming, we are multi-streaming, we are in 2 places at once, and I am really excited. We have a great show planned out for you guys today, talking about Ps4 firmware, developers getting fired, whole bunch of stuff is going on this past week, and it's stuff that we really, really need to talk about, but I can't start anything without the intros, and I'm going to start off. I think you guys know it because the lights are flickering all around you right now. It is time for everybody in the chat, everybody on Mixer, to stand up, show that respect, kiss that ring, clear that throat. The Don!
I don't know about clear the throat, but everyone's going to be kissing the ring after this gameplay this week. That's all I got to say.
Oh, yeah, dude. We are going in. After the show today, I'll have a poll up on Twitter on who had the best gameplay. And I got to say, I've seen them all because I put it all together, but I didn't see it all until I started putting them together. And it's going to be tough. I think I'm going to win. I'm pretty confident. I do have the best gameplay out there. But I got to say, everybody on the panel brought it, though. Everybody brought it.
All I got to say is a vote for Dawn is a vote for the Battletoad to keep it alive. So, just so you guys know, you want to keep that going.
Dude, that is so cheap. But anyway, next on the list, coming live from the 405, and I think he overdosed on some vitamin C pills because I hear he is like 150% better. It's K Mega!
Yes, I am coming live from the pink room. Yeah, man. Oh my God. Last night on GRG, man, Lawrence G showed his face and showed the back of his room, and it looked like the walls was hot pink. So we're coming live from the pink room, baby. And man, listen, if you're tired of the frog like I am, you will not vote for Don. You will vote for K Mega because I always bring in the most intriguing, most hype gameplay that probably anyone has ever brought. And tonight is no different. So go ahead and vote for your boy K Mega 405, man. And as always, glad to be here, man. Let's get this.
You know what would be a guarantee win for K Mega is him just losing at games. I think people will vote then.
Wow. You know what? Yeah, if I played me some Dark Souls and watched how much I get humiliated, I would definitely probably win every week. I might do that.
Oh, and center us. All right, we're all good. Don, I gotta say something because K Mega said this, and O Snaps has said this actually a couple times today. Do you get tired of people saying the frog? Because we all know it's a battle toad, right? Do you get tired of the frog, quote unquote frog?
No. I mean, if they don't know who Rash is, I mean, I can't hold that against them. They just know what they associate with. And they're like, bring back the Battletoad.
I tell them, I'm like, it's a toad. Come on, it's a toad. The frog?
I got to see his frog legs, man. Some frog legs and biscuits. I'm ready to go.
All right, guys, check this out. Next on the list is the guy to which you're seeing his gameplay right now. He came out the gate like running with Hellblade, and he is not going to let up his entire time with his gameplay. Of course, I am talking about Predator.
What's up, man? It was a late night, man, on GRG last night, man. And then, dude, as soon as I got off GRG, like as soon as you let me go, Mooch hits me up like, "Yo, we gotta play some PUBG." So I had to play around with him, a round or two with him and Delirium Blades for a little bit. And I finally got some sleep, man. I think I got like 3 or 4 hours of sleep last night. I had to work today. But yeah, best gameplay, y'all looking at it right now. So y'all just go ahead and just vote now.
No,
I got a little message at the end of this too for all you guys out there.
The poll isn't up yet, man. They can't vote yet.
Put it up now so they can vote for me.
But they haven't seen everybody's yet, man.
They don't need to. They don't need to.
What I'm doing is after the first rotation, we're gonna be talking about stuff. I'm gonna try to chime in and stuff. But after the first rotation is when I'm gonna put the poll up on Twitter, and then we'll see what happens from there. All right.
Yeah, I gave everybody a little bit of something, so a little bit of PC,
Dude,
a little bit of Xbox.
I was like, when I saw your gameplay, I was like, nah, he didn't, man. Why are you gonna play that game and then that game after that? I'm like, come on, man. But it's a challenge. I think I can overcome Predator's challenge, but his gameplay is straight fire tonight. But on that note, we got to give a huge shout out to Dark Optimus. He has had a family issue. Grandma Dark is having some health issues or whatnot, so he could not be with us tonight. So huge shout out to Dark Optimus and the fam. I hope everything works out straight. Snaps is doing what she does. She's out there peddling cookies. So huge shout out to Snaps. Fuskies is somewhere. He's somewhere out there. Somewhere over the rainbow. I don't know. He's somewhere. I don't know. But huge shout out to the rest of the Next Podcast family. And now we get to go into the topics. And I want to start off, guys. I want to start off with a banger, man. Ps4 came out with a firmware update. And, they added a bunch of things to the PS4. And I got to say, a lot of this stuff is stuff like we have already been enjoying on the Xbox side of things. But there was one thing in particular that caught my eye, and it was for the PS4 Pro. Ever since the firmware update came out, the PS4 Pro will be able to super sample for people who have an HD television. I gotta hit K Mega first. K Mega, what do you think about the news that now the PS4 Pro can super sample? Is it now worth it for people who want to get a PS4 if they only have an HD TV? Do you think it's worth it for them to invest in the Pro? Do you think the regular PS4 or the Slim is a better option? What do you think, man?
Man, I don't know. It's a great option for the people that own the PlayStation 4 Pro, but these things should have been implemented when they were talking about the boost mode at the beginning of last year. So to me, it's long overdue, and it's glad that it's here now. But again, these new little intricacies, I can't talk. Intricacies that they've implemented, it's great, but these are stuff that Xbox fans has already been dealing with from the get. So I mean, look, I'm not going to hate on it, but I think it's a little bit too late, and they're trying to do whatever they can to satisfy their Pro fans and maybe trying to entice people to buy the Pro. Mm-hmm. But it just don't see it happen. I think more gamers are anticipating the PlayStation 5 instead of whatever that they're going to do extra with the Pro. I think it's long overdue, and maybe people will start buying it once the price go down. Mm-hmm. But that's it. I don't have really too much to say about it. I think it's good, but just move on from it.
On the PS4 Pro, if you go to enable super sampling, right? There's mm-hmm. this screen that says that there are points in time, depending on the game, where you might not see any improvement to the visuals in the game. Now, I've gone on record saying that the PS4 Pro is pretty much, it's an up-res machine. That's where the power went to. It didn't go to like textures, lighting, shadows, like the X did, where you have improvement across kind of like the graphical spectrum. With that being said, do you think it's worth it for them to put this in? And how do you think this super sampling compares to what the X does, man?
Well, it doesn't. That's the problem. It doesn't. I mean, that's the one thing about it that just it should aggravate people that were anticipating something from the Pro. that when you see how the X is, how all the game stats are enhanced on the X, and even some of the games that aren't even enhanced, how much better that they look, it should frustrate PlayStation Pro owners because they spent $400 on this platform thinking that they were going to get the same type of treatment. Maybe not to the same degree of what the X provides, but still something better. I mean, they should have already had the super sampling from day one off the gate. I mean, to me, it's something that I think we've all talked about last year, was that the Pro should have been delayed until early next year so they could have ironed out all the problems that they wanted to, but they wanted to rush it out there, and it still failed because they had too many things on the market and it killed it. So it's just they're trying to right the wrongs, but it's a little bit too late, and I don't think anybody's going to really jump on it until they drop the price, or like I said, people are already going to be anticipating the PlayStation 5. I think people are just content with what they have already on the PlayStation.
Nice. Yeah, like when I first saw this, I was like, well, at first I was like, oh, great. So now, people who are interested in a PS4, they can get the Pro, get some benefit of having the more powerful PlayStation, even though they have the HD television. But then I thought about it, I was like, hold on, man. Basically, like all the improvements that they're doing on the PS4 side of things, it really like revolves around just the overall resolution. And I thought about what the X was doing in comparison to what the Pro was doing, and I was like, man, I don't see how that will be a huge benefit to people where they would see a lot of difference. But let's go down. Predator, what do you think about this? And before you answer, one of our extended family, Mr. Saltiest Gaming, he asked for everybody to say hi. So you guys want to say hi to Salty real quick?
What up, Salty?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Salty?
What's
up with you?
Not only that, I want to give a huge shout out to the Blues over on Mixer who started following my channel. Thank you so much. For everybody on Mixer, I am watching both chats, and I will interact with you guys as much as I can, but we do gotta keep things flowing, keep the topics moving and stuff like that. So Pred, what do you think about this news, and how do you think it compares to the Xbox One X? Is it worth it now to get a Pro for people who want a PS4 with an HD television?
No. I didn't think the Pro was worth it in the first place. When I had my opportunity to pick up my PlayStation, I ended up just getting the Slim versus the Pro, mainly because the Blu-ray player, it was a little cheaper. So with the whole performance part, I'm not really privy to everything going on with the super sampling, but it seems like it was an add-on. I don't know if it became an add-on after Xbox did it. Like, was it an afterthought? And they saw that Xbox was doing it, and they're like, oh shit, we need to do this too.
Shit, we gotta do that. Yeah.
Or was it something that they had planned in the works in the first place? I mean, from my understanding, what I thought I read when this story first broke was that there's performance issues with it. Is that a true statement? Like it's causing performance issues on some of the games.
Well, there is within like that screen that I was talking about before. There's a warning that frame rate could change. You could get a drop in performance as well. So, I mean, they covered their bases with warnings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really doing what the Xbox version is doing of the same thing. So, it's a step up from what I think they're doing in the past. I think before, like if they wanted to, like maybe I'm thinking like HDR or something like that, but I think developers had to add it in where Xbox typically just does it on its own.
No.
Is that right?
No, the HDR is never done on its own.
Not HDR, no, the super sampling part of it.
The super sampling, yes. Well, the sum up to the performance things, right? There's a base level of the machine that can be causing some of the symptoms, and that's what that warning is. But what it's compounded on is sometimes, and we've heard about this from Digital Foundry and other like digital outlets, where the Pro version doesn't run as good as the base version of the PS4, just the way they made the game, right? Mm-hmm. So those problems still persist if you basically run it as a Pro, right? You run that Pro feature, but you're downsampling it. So, like, we get situations where the frame rate is not as stable, say, on the Pro version of the game versus the standard vanilla PS4. Now that it runs at a Pro level and then it downsamples that image, the image is cleaner, but there's some performance dips just because of how they made that game. So, that's where a lot of the confusion is. There's two things kind of going on there, kind of compounding a little bit on the worst performance side of things.
All right, so I was gonna say, so Don, what do you think about this? Does this make the PS4 Pro, like, does it, if somebody has just a standard HD television and they're thinking about getting either the regular PS4, the Slim, or the Pro, should they? Do you think they would lean more towards the Pro now? Is it more of a value?
I think you should always invest for the future, right? Like, let's let's say, right, you bought an X right now, for example, Xbox, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a 4K television, right? And then yes, it does have super sampling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to take advantage more so when you do that TV upgrade, and you are benefiting now as well. And that's how I always like recommend any products for anybody, right? You should always invest into the future and look at the long game, not what the first 3 months of owning a product is going to be, but the lifetime you're going to own that product. And so, if you're investing into a Pro, you're probably going to keep the machine for 3 or 4 years, right? So this makes sense. I would invest in a Pro, and I've been very clear about all the problems the Pro had would iron itself out within that within a year's time frame, and for the most part, it's gotten a lot smoother, and it's going to get better next year as the tools improved. And this is just one more thing where you're not forcing the developer to take advantage of super sampling. Either you didn't get super sampling at all, right? Or you got super sampling, but you're compromising basically those hours that those employees can be working on the Pro version, making the best that it possibly can. So you're just freeing up resources from the development side of things, which is a good thing. I don't see any negative to this, to be honest with you.
I got you, man. Now, as we're looking at this vote for Pred that just passed on the thing, man. Yo, Pred, I'm surprised. Just about everybody who put in the gameplay tonight, there was a vote for me. Yo, I think K Mega killed it at the end of his gameplay. That's all I gotta say. You guys are gonna have to wait and see what he did on that one. But I was just like, oh no, he didn't. But at the end of the day, I mean, it is an extra. It's something that will get more people who haven't upgraded to 4K yet, if they don't have a PS4 Pro. It'll get them thinking about it. I mean, it got me thinking about it. I feel like I still don't need to run out and get one. I'm still probably gonna wait until I get the 4K television and then get the Pro afterwards, because I still, from what I've seen, spec-wise, what I've seen in terms of what they're doing for options within games, it's still pretty much an up-res machine to me. So I don't think I'm going to see a major difference. They don't have that improvement in the graphical features, like with the textures, with the lighting, and all that good stuff that really make the games look that much better. Because at the end of the day, overall resolution, I mean, it's only a small part of the pie. It's even that part that at one point in time developers used to think of at the very last process, like exactly what overall.
They still do.
All right, I didn't know if this generation changed it or not. Like, damn.
No, I mean, that's just the development process in general, right? Like, target pixel count is the last thing you're trying to accomplish with optimization. And then they still have to make the hard decisions from a marketing standpoint, where you got marketing for big developers. They have marketing groups there. You got to push the 4K thing, or you got to push the 1080p thing on the machine. And the same token, there's like, yeah, but I can do all this other shit, right? Mm-hmm. That makes it look way better. And a lot of times that stuff is still set to the side because there's still that pixel counting debate that's out there. So,
yeah, I mean,
I don't think super sampling is going to be that feature that pushes people to go buy it. I mean, like, buy a Pro. No. If they wanted a Pro, they either have it already or they get it for other reasons. The super sampling part
it's pretty much a checkbox, right? It's just one of those things like, okay, cool. Our competitors got it, we got it now too. So it lessens that gap between what the two machines offer.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, at the end of the day, extra features, you have choices and all that good stuff. I just there's a part of me that, I know it's not going to be the same as the Xbox One X version. And people out there, they can call me a fanboy. I don't know. They can call me an X-bot, maybe. But at the end of the day, I know that the One X, what they're doing to improve the visuals on games on the X, the Pro really can't do. Right? So when it comes to super sampling, yeah, you might get a clearer picture on your HD television, a slightly clearer picture, but I know with the X, when it super samples down to my HD, I can see a clear difference compared to when I had the Xbox One Elite plugged into the same TV with playing the same games and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's cool. At the end of the day, I don't want people to think that it's on par with the X, because the X automatically, it has more power underneath the hood. They're doing more things to the games graphically. And so on and so forth. But I do want to say something as we're talking about Sony, and I think I'm gonna I'll start with Predator on this. I was thinking about going back to K Mega, but I might hold that in my back pocket for a second.
You fit in K Mega's back pocket.
I got K Mega in my back pocket right now. Just wait, it's like the golden ticket, yeah. But no. People have been sharing on Twitter that PlayStation is putting out surveys to people who have their consumers, people who have the PS4 and all this stuff. And the survey consists of what these people might want to see, what these gamers might want to see in terms of the PS5. And there's a couple things that they talk about. They talk about what the PS5, what they want it to look like, but then they ask about the specs. Now, people in social media, of course, they're kind of they're jumping on this horse and they're running with it, right? So they're like, oh, they're going to announce PS5 this year's E3, all that good stuff. They're like, oh, is Xbox going to announce theirs in 2019? What's going on? Can they even do that? You know how the console war fanboys go and stuff like that. Now, I know how I feel about this, but I got to ask K Mega, with the survey coming out.
I thought you was gonna ask Fred. I thought I was saving in the back pocket.
Okay, my bad. All right, Predator. All right, when it comes to this survey, they're asking what this thing looks like, and they're asking what kind of specs you would want to see from it. Does this sound like the PS5 is even close to being announced at E3?
I could see them doing a pre-announcement, kind of like how Microsoft did a couple of years ago, to let them know it's coming. This survey isn't new. I actually heard about this a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I don't put too much thought into it. It's for some reason it's coming back to light now, but it was out a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember who tweeted it. It might have been another podcaster that you don't get along with, but
I get along with everybody, man.
Did Prejudice throw some shade?
I didn't mention any names. I could name drop, but I won't do it today. But I could see them making an announcement saying it's coming. But I don't know why they would do a survey. They should know what they want to do with their own system. Like, you don't go to the fans specifically to ask for what specs. Like, that's something you might go to a developer and ask.
So the survey doesn't make any sense to you, huh?
I didn't see all the survey. I don't know what the questions were asked, but I don't think. But if as a gamer, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I want the best. I want the best specs. I want the best power. I want everything. That's what everyone should be asking for, because that's what you want. But Sony should already know that. I think if I was making a console, the person I would go ask is a developer. Like, hey, what can we do to make this an easy console for you to develop for? Not go to the fans and specifically ask them what they want in a console. I think the answer should be, I want everything, and I want it to run smooth and perfect, and I want games. I want the most power, I want the best graphics, everything. If you had a limited amount of money to go build a PC, would you build a weak ass PC? No. You build the most powerful PC you possibly could, just because you can. So you're going to ask, that's like asking a little kid, do you want candy or not? They're going to always say yes. So, I don't know. I didn't see the survey. I don't know what the questions were in the survey that were asked, but I can see them gathering data from it, I guess, to see what's important.
We even got people in the chat saying that the survey is an older survey. I just kind of stumbled across it today. And
I saw it pop up in the feed today too.
Yeah, I seen people kind of arguing over the situation, and I think a lot depends on when that survey actually came out. Because if they're asking about the look and the specs, first of all, you should have your specs pretty much. If you're announcing something like this year at this year's E3, you should have the specs pretty much cemented, in my opinion.
Is that something you kind of built first, or I'm asking Don this question.
What part?
If you're building a console, do you kind of worry about what you're going to put inside it first?
Well, I mean, you always got to start somewhere, right? With the base of what your hardware is going to be and what your intended goals. But I think what really comes right down to, there's always an area where you're actually almost like building multiple variants of what you think your next system might be, and then as you get closer and closer to a date, you kind of have to start deciding on final specs based on price. And this is the reason why, like, you think the survey doesn't make any sense. This is the reason why I kind of think the survey does. If you
just say, let me tell you why you're wrong.
But if you look at the PlayStation 4 fan base, are they the most consistent group of people? They're not, right?
He gave us our answer. We couldn't even answer.
I was back here shaking my head like, no. I was shaking my head like, no. Am I right?
Pause and everything.
And then tell us our answer. Do not do that. Don't do that.
No, I mean, you guys have been saying it for years, right? Are we going left? Are we going right? What are we doing, guys? Right? So I think there's a situation where it's really hard for them to read their fan base. Like, they want to do it right. They obviously are seeing success.
It's not hard to read a fan base that basically agrees with you around every corner, though. I'm saying.
But they want to control that narrative, and you kind of have to get some things right to continue to control the narrative, right? You can't get 90% of it wrong and expect that to continue to go that direction for you. So, I think a lot of it is trying to get a consistent answer from the fan base, and then those answers are what they're going to kind of judge parameters of, like, how expensive we're going to make this thing.
They're going to say 8K, 120 frames per second.
Who is the system really for? Is it to retain customers on our platform? These are the sort of things. So they're not driving all the decisions of what Sony is doing, but it's putting all that stuff kind of together. If they already preemptively decided, hey, it's going to be $400 and it's going to release it this year, then the quote that Pred did which is, hey, let's release the most powerful console we can in that time frame at this price. Well, that makes sense, but you can tell they're debating things to a certain degree and trying to understand where the customer's understanding is on some of this stuff too. And that helps with them kind of continue to control that narrative.
Don, I think you touched on something that is important to talk, is about them measuring kind of like the intelligence of the consumers out there as well, because the beginning of this generation, everybody was talking 1080p, and then when it came to 4K gaming, people were like, that's not even gonna, not this generation, maybe not even next generation and stuff like that. And then when it came down to it, mid-gen refreshes came out, and you have 1440 upscaled. Even games running at 4K on these mid-gen refreshes and stuff like that. We would have never thought about that as a whole. So,
if you look at the Pro, as you mentioned before, the Pro wasn't built by a community of gamers, right? So, Sony decided what they thought it was appropriate for what they're trying to accomplish. I think it's less of the PSVR than people give it credit for. I think they just want to continue to maintain the momentum. And they were experimenting because they obviously want this generation to last longer, not just be 4 or 5 year done and out. They want to have that longevity and have things pay for themselves. So, I get where they're coming from, and they have to feel like the Pro is not doing what they wanted it to do. And the competition brought it. I mean, that's what it really comes right down to it.
I think they're happy. I think they're happy with PS4 in general. Now the Pro
PS4 in general,
might
but
be
not
a little bit
not
lower.
the Pro.
But I think as a whole, I think Sony's pretty freaking happy with what's going on.
Yeah, well, no, they're happy with the base hardware, and they're happy how they got their start. But they're always continuing to do. They want to do better year over year. I mean, every major console platform wants that. There's people that are sitting in pretty high seats. That's how they judge their job. And they want to continue that lead. Mm-hmm. And I said this before: the first company that doesn't make their next system backwards and forwards compatible loses the next generation. So because if you are able to do that, you have the install base big enough to win the generation before it even starts. So they're they're balancing all this stuff out.
Here's the frog, guys. Here's the frog.
But I mean that's kind of how all this stuff works, and I think also too, you're right on the sense that like you think they're going to have a PlayStation announced at this E3. Well, if it's announced at this E3, it's being delayed another year upon their promise, right? It's going to be like in like one of their games. So I just don't think they're that close to being done. I think 2020 is a realistic expectation. When you see them asking
about specs and then what the look of it will be, like all in all, that's like a huge chunk of research development and all that good stuff. So again, a lot of it rests on the shoulders of when this survey actually came out, in my opinion. Now, people in the chat are telling me it's older. I'm not going to be the type of YouTuber that comes out and says, well, I know absolutely everything and stuff like that. I'm taking, people in the chat, I'm taking their word for it. Pred even said it was at least a couple weeks old. So, I mean, a couple weeks, that doesn't show too much variation.
No, that's still in the same window, right? I mean, that's not enough to make a difference there. I mean, let's say they're at that point where they're trying to decide, okay, are we going to go more expensive, or are we going to go with more powerful hardware? They still have to have like another couple years under their belt with what direction they're going to go to make sure they hit those marks. So, I mean, realistically, if they're finalizing like where they're going to go with this, then yeah, you're looking at 2020. And then and I know that's hard for a lot of people to hear, but I mean it sounds like that's what they're shooting for. Man. That seems about right. And it's not being negative on Sony. I mean, they have to have some time. You want the thing to be fully cooked before it comes out, right?
Yeah.
You want developers to use what the hardware can do when it hits, and it's easy to develop for. If you kind of even draw the parallels what Xbox did, right, with the X. They didn't just make one machine. They actually developed two machines simultaneously, which was the dev kit, which is extremely more powerful than the X, and then the X itself. So, Sony is going to take a page from that because developers are going to ask for that. They want a kit that's like the X from Sony on their next iteration. That's what developers want. Developers want backwards and forwards compatibility. That's what the developers want. So I think they know what the devs want. They just want to see what the main audience wants out there.
I know what I want to do. I want to give a shout out to Spider-Man over on Mixer. He said that the PS4 Pro can't do 4K, and with smaller titles, with kind of like the digital games and stuff like that. There's been some smaller games that came out in native 4K. Some remasters from previous generations have come out as 4K as well. So I can't just go out there and say it can't do 4K. All right.
Well, it's lesser demanding titles, right?
Yeah.
So it's really comes down to it. But some of those smaller indie devs that are doing lesser demanding titles, some of those guys don't, they just don't have that same expertise, as some of the bigger studios. So sometimes they won't even see that implemented.
Oh, guess what, guys? We got the fire gameplay going on right now. Everybody sit back and relax.
You know what? This is what's going on. I'm about to defamation of character because I think this is my gameplay. Bot has been saving and using it for his good.
No.
I'm disgusted right now.
You're automatically disqualified.
Hold on. Don't make me write a memo, sir. I will write a memo.
Last year. Okay, anyway.
This is not even
gameplay. This is gameplay. I know, but you know what? This is my cutscene. No, I have no idea. This cutscene was
I'm able to play Halo Wars 2 now because of Game Pass, man.
And I'm about to do a petition because 5 minutes of the damn frog dance should not get a win. We got Delirium Blades already giving a vote for Don. I'm disgusted right here.
Oh, no.
Disgusted.
No.
Anyway, let's go ahead.
Well, like I said, the poll is not gonna go up yet. All right, we got my gameplay, then we got Mega's gameplay. Mega's gonna kill something. Tricky, man, you brought Tricky? I was like, holy crap.
Why are you telling my gameplay already? Look, that's sabotage.
I'm telling you, he's trying to rig it for him. He's been doing that.
That's creating hype. What are you talking about, man? Anyway.
Go to the archives.
Yeah.
He cuts the resolution of yours intentionally.
I know, right?
Listen to that, man. Come on.
You guys don't trust the Xbot, man? That's not good. That's not cool.
I will. Let me just come in and just say this part. Look, if people are trying to me, this is it's good for the gamers because this is something that PlayStation has not really given the gamers is a chance for them to give their opinions on things. But because of so many of them are being like cattle, and I mean that in a nice way, they don't.
Oh, there we go.
Only thing that you'll probably hear from majority of them is that I just want you to be better than Xbox. And, you know what I'm saying? And so they can put any specs that they want to, as long as they're better than the X, then they're fine. But I do think that there's some guys out there that really knows what's going on inside these boxes, and they will tell them what they want. But again, this is that line that they have to cross. Mm-hmm. And where Xbox already has established that line by telling gamers, look, we have 3 different iterations for you. We have the cheaper version that doesn't give you all the power and the graphical fidelity that you may want with the older Xboxes. We have something that can give you the proper speed, slick looking, and it's cheaper, which is in the S, and then we can give you our premium product, which is the X. So PlayStation themselves, they came out and said our premium PlayStation is the Pro, but then when you come and look at the odds, the regular PlayStation outperforms a lot of times on certain games better than what the Pro provides. And they ask for a premium price, which is not what it wasn't a smart move. So again, with the PlayStation 5, the one thing that I know that PlayStation fans are going to ask for, and which I, as a fan of the PlayStation, would definitely ask for, is backwards capability. Who knows if PlayStation will implement that? Because for me,
that's going to be tough, man, because they started their streaming service, and that's going to be, I mean, we're going to talk about Google, a little bit later on in the show, and what, they're coming together with a streaming service and getting into the games industry like that. Eventually, all these companies want to do that, and I know I have naysayers out there, people who tell me, Xbox, you're fucking crazy, but this is what they want to do. And Sony they stepped up and they really got it kind of like initiated first with PlayStation Now. And so for them to go with the PS5 and then make it backwards compatible as well, it's them shooting themselves in their corporate foot. Like I don't see them doing that, man.
No, it wouldn't, because it would eliminate PlayStation Now, but it would be the smarter move, because what they could do.
2 different customers, though.
I know
they really are. I think that's how the industry is looking at them.
Well,
they're looking at the stream. The stream customer is a totally different customer base, totally different types of games, and they want to make a bigger variety of people play games, and make it more accessible for somebody that may not buy a dedicated box. And I think, honestly, dedicated box customers are always going to be dedicated box customers because they want the latest, greatest, and the best performance. And, streaming just has some natural limitations you just can't get around. The hardware boxes have their own limitations as well. But, I think they're just 2 different customer bases altogether.
No, they are, Don. But the fact of it is that I think where PlayStation could have a huge benefit to even gather more gamers on board is that they would show a little bit of the love to the people that have been nostalgic with the PlayStation, like me, from way back again. If you could give us some older games that we know that probably will not come out as new games, or they would bring out with remakes like they did with Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, how many people have been anticipating to want to play a Siphon Filter? How many people would love to play some old Street Fighter EX, or even though they got a new version.
That's for you, Mr. Baker, right there. You see that gameplay?
What carrying them on the back? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe some Legend of Lagoon or some Legend of Legaia. Toshinden. There's plenty of PlayStation. PlayStation has so many great, fantastic games that's in their catalog that they can bring back for backwards compatibility, but then only just throw that out as a nugget to entice more gamers to get on their platform, but still bring their remakes and still try to do something to get better with the PlayStation Now, because we all know the services is the future of gaming. I think it would be smart for the PlayStation 5 to go that direction, and also the name change aspect, because a lot of PlayStation fans has asked for that as well. there's just so many things that they could do other than the power aspect of it. But
so you're saying
listen to us.
You would like PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility on the next PlayStation?
Sure. I mean, well, no, I want to go back. I want to go back as far as that. I want to go back to 1. I mean, 1.
Well, one's easy, 2's easy, but the third PlayStation 3 is incredibly difficult. The architecture, the cell architecture is the reason why they can't do it. So that's why people keep saying, I'm assuming that they can, but they're not going to. No, it's not because of the service. It's because it's actually, I don't think it's possible on that box.
Right. Well, Twisted Metal. If you could get Twisted Metal, I mean, we got Twisted Metal Black, but I mean, the way that game looked, when I seen it that they had it available, and then I played it, and I'm like, oh my god, it's horrible. They're losing money to the PC because they do emulators and things of that nature. You would think that it would be smart for them to go and try to nip that in the bud and try to bring out better performing games that look better on that new hardware, and that they could implement some servers and get some of these gamers to jump on a board. No, it wouldn't be everybody, but it's still the benefit that you're giving the gamers the opportunity to play those games. And I guarantee you there'll be a lot of PlayStation fans that would appreciate.
I think it comes right because we're not opposed. Either one of us is opposed to buying a PlayStation, even though we prefer Xbox, right? So, like,
I have a PlayStation.
Let's pretend the survey is for us, right? We're trying to be reasonable, sensible people, right? For me, I do want them to target PS3 backwards compatibility. I know it's not capable on current hardware, but it may be possible with the newer AMD technology that's out there. It's going to be difficult, but I do want to see them put energy and effort into that. Make sure that you can do backwards and forwards compatibility. That's what I want. I want them more focused on the amount of memory in the console. That's from my developer side of things. I want that. You can never have too much memory. It's one of the biggest things that's going to make these games shine so much that's out there. Yes, I do want more base power. And I want more things that are on a system level from the platform itself. So as a developer, if I decided to port my game over to your console, right, I don't have to jump through these additional hoops because let's say every gamer is not in the same. They don't have the same income, right? So some people have nicer TVs than others. Some people are going to do the 4K. Some go to do the 4K HDR. I want all that stuff to be done at a system level. I want the tools to be more accessible than what you're getting from the Pro. That's my wish list. That's what I want from their next console. And I think I would be interested to see what you guys would want from their next console.
Well, I mean, better stable online. Not having so many basically maintenance drops. So for like if you want to try to play Destiny or any of these other type of games, the maintenance thing is killer. Now for a while, PlayStation was playing online really well, and then again, they get hacked or they got some kind of situation going on, and then they go down multiple times. I mean, look, of course, PlayStation is going to be more powerful. PlayStation 5 is going to be more powerful, so I'm not even worried about the specs aspect of it. I'm just more of there should be games that PlayStation has that have dedicated servers for their fan base. If they need to join forces with Microsoft on certain games, because I mean, if PUBG is going to eventually come out there to PlayStation, then it would be smart for them to use.
So you're saying you don't want them to rent other people's servers, but actually have their own? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, have their own. They got enough. Okay. They have enough money. I mean, look, we know PlayStation. I mean, Sony as a company is in a financial. It's financially not able to sustain what Microsoft can do. But PlayStation has made so much money that these guys can go out and do, and what I'm saying, and make gamers extremely happy by helping out the companies that's supported Sony. I mean, basically, Street Fighter V plays well. That Capcom don't get any flack for it. But like games like NBA 2K, I mean, they should work out something to where they're like, look, because it's bad not only on PlayStation, but it's bad on Xbox too. If they could work on trying to get their own servers to where they can have where they could pay for that, I think that would go a long way.
So
and
kind of like
not get people enticed on jumping to the Xbox, because Xbox is king when it comes to online gaming.
So on the Xbox,
on the console space, I should say.
So you develop on the Xbox, right? And you actually get you get access to free Azure if you choose to develop on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's on that platform. Now they charge if you're going to do the other things, but on Xbox it's free. So you're saying, I want to take it up one further. I want, if I'm going to use your servers on Sony's platform, I want that to be free for me as a developer, and that that's huge. And then some of the money that you guys are investing on PlayStation service, right? That actually goes to the servers and goes to stability of that platform.
Don, when you ask like what we would want to see from like a PlayStation 5, I gotta say, like, I don't want to like I want the people who are developing the hardware to be creative. I don't really want to kind of like funnel my mindset or my mentality when it comes to the new hardware. When it comes down to it, I want to see what they can do. They were innovative enough to bring virtual reality to the console space first. So I'm interested to see what they'll do next. And I don't really, I gotta say, I don't know what to expect, and I don't really want to expect. I just want to see what they come up with and see if it's compatible with me as a gamer, I guess you would say. Now, when it comes
are you a fan of their controller?
Oh, there you go. But
that's part of the survey, right?
Controller is a lot better than what it has been. I mean, I think
dude, those triggers need help, man. Those triggers need help, and the rubber
the DualShock was the best controller PlayStation had. But I mean, it's better than the PlayStation 3 controller by leaps.
But that's what I'm trying to say, Xbox. I mean, it doesn't have to come down to system specs. I mean, like Kid Mega came with, hey man, your online service, well, it's not up to par. It's not what I would expect out of the platform by now.
Yeah.
And I mean, it can be anything from controllers. There's a reason why you're an Xbox gamer, right? That you want to think of what can they do that can win you there. Obviously you do want them to be creative and be the smart guys that they are and wow you. But there's got to be some things that you would want the platform to change. I mean, there's things about Xbox I would like them to change, and I think we express that all the time.
Well, the controller is a really good example, a really good, like, and I have one. You know what I'm saying? I've already went through two in terms of the rubber on the thumbsticks. Now, people can talk about the placement of the thumbsticks all they want. After I played it for a while, like, I got used to it that way, but I do feel like the Xbox controller is a lot more comfortable. But with that being said, if they decide that they're going to be stubborn and that's going to be kind of like their legacy layout for the controller, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But the quality of the overall controller would be something that I would hope that they would definitely upgrade for the next system. I don't know. How about you, Pred?
I haven't been here. I've been on the phone for like the last 5 minutes.
You know what? I don't think the Delirium Blade should be on the chat ever again. He's an asshole.
Yo, he said that he wanted 20 minutes of climbing uphill on Steam.
Hey, bro, he sit there. He just said a vote for Mega is a vote for Trump. What's wrong with you, bro? That's ridiculous, man. I'm showing classic gameplay, man.
Oh, the funny thing is they have the same hairpiece.
I'm showing SSX, man. Oh my God, y'all guys are horrible, man. Support K Mega in this gameplay, man. Y'all know y'all love SSX. Show me some love,
dude. When I saw that, man, I mean, Don, I gotta say, I was impressed with Pred when he came in with the Shadow of the Colossus and then had Fable Legends in there and stuff like that. And then when I saw Mega with Tricky, I was like, nah, for real, man. You killed it with that, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
And then the ending to this gameplay, you guys will see that.
Yeah,
that's
I was rusty.
His story.
I wasn't doing everything that I was But
Yeah, you
when
suck
I
at
come
this
back
game,
with
by the
it,
way.
I'll definitely it'll definitely be hot fire when I come because I wasn't doing the Uber.
You really suck at this game, man. I just gotta say that.
I did not suck at the game, man. It was like my
He's just
third
trying to land on
time
his feet,
playing,
man.
and I
That's all
haven't
he's
played
trying to
in
do.
years. So I was like, oh my god, let me go up here and get this going, man.
He grabs one trick and then spins around a little bit, and he's like,
Hey,
"Look
man,
what I did."
still got first place. And then look, man, look at this fire. Nobody ain't gonna say gameplay like I do. Nobody does. I don't think people know what this game is here, man. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's get to the topics, bro.
No doubt. Well,
okay, Mega Man.
Let's see. Next topic. Well, since we're talking about like systems and everything like that, let's talk about Xbox announced a bundle with PUBG, and they're going to be selling a bundle for the Xbox One S with PUBG. Now, when I first saw this announcement, I scratched my head a little bit, and I'm going to let you guys know what I think right now, all right? I have no idea why they're bundling PUBG with the S. I've seen how PUBG runs on the Xbox One Elite. I've seen how it runs on the S. And I see how it runs on the X. If you want to put your best foot forward, bundle it with the X. That's what I think. I feel like this is kind of like a misstep move, in my opinion, that they should actually just keep it bundled with the X. But I want to know what the panel thinks. Mega, you actually answered first in the DM when I said about this. So, dude, what do you think about the PUBG bundle with the S? Do you think it's gonna be a hot seller? Do you think it's a good idea? What's your opinion, man?
Well, I mean, it's I understand why they did it because it's a cheaper product and they want to get people to get invested into the S if they have not been invested into Xbox. I mean, because let's just be clear, $500 consoles are expensive and a lot of people are not going to be enticed. As much as everybody has praised and as well that is the Xbox One X has been selling, still people want bargains. And if you want to get people enticed with this PUBG and with Xbox, then you will go with the cheaper product. So
I think it's kind of a cash grab, in my opinion.
It is. Well, no, it definitely is. And even though, you know what, look, I mean, I made it clear that my X is getting fixed right now. It broke down on me, and I've been playing on the Xbox One Fat, the original 2013 version, Jack. It runs a lot better. It runs a lot better than what it used to. I'm saying visually, of course, you're not getting the same as what you are with the X, but I have been impressed of how games have performed. I mean, they're not better by no stretch, but I was expecting huge letdowns, and I'm not getting the huge letdown. So, and I'm talking about the fat. So, and the S is definitely a more capable, better console than the Xbox One Fat. So it's
only slightly better. I mean, it's got the upscaling to 4K, but when you look at it underneath the hood, it's only like a minuscule amount. Like it's pretty much as strong.
Right? Yeah. It you're right, and that's what I'm saying though. But the S is if you have the original Xbox Fat, then it's time to upgrade. It's time to get rid of that and move on to the S if you don't want to pay the $500 or get the X. I personally, it's like I've been telling everybody, the X is the better way to go. It sets up for the future of gaming, and this console will benefit you for even further if you don't want to pay for whatever the Xbox 2 or the PlayStation 5 is going to be coming off the gate. You can still be satisfied with what the X will provide because it is a behemoth. It's a great system. So that's the thing. So, but there's going to be people that are late adopters. I mean, look just how long the gap was from when people finally got rid of playing on the 360 and jumping over to the Xbox. You see what I'm saying? So it's for those people that are bargain shoppers and they want to jump on to they want to jump on to the Xbox if they've been playing on their PlayStation and they're like, okay, look, I like PUBG. We don't know if PUBG is going to go to the PlayStation, but if it, regardless if it does or if it doesn't, I still want to play on where the online is a lot more capable and a lot more stable. So here you go, and it's and it's cheap now. So go ahead and jump on the S. I think it's just smart move for them.
I want to give a huge shout out to OBX Blackbeard over on Mixer. He was like, they should make a Sea of Thieves custom console bundle. Dude, I think a lot of people, both on YouTube and just a general chunk of the community, think the same thing. I know my boy Boomstick from CCC and Crossfire, he's been very adamant that they are actually dropping the ball when it comes to not making a custom console. When they have made a custom external hard drive, a custom controller stand, and a custom controller, you would think that like it would be a no-brainer to make a limited edition console.
So Xbox is going to make his own. You're just going to hot glue some Lincoln logs to the outside of it and make it look like a boat.
Make it look like make it a pirate ship. Yeah. But I don't know. I shared my thoughts, my opinions on this. Don, what do you think about the 1S bundle with PUBG? Do you see it as a cash grab? Do you see potential in it? Do you think, like I do, that they should have just kept it with the X and pushed a bundle like that forward?
I just think it's weird in general, across the board, because it's like an unfinished game, right? Like, I get the hype. Like, I understand why they're doing it, right? Because it is one of the hot games right now. It is the game that people are talking about. It is the game that's selling the most. It does drive people to your platform. We don't know what the end fate of that game and if it's going to be on other platforms or not. So maximizing what you can get out of the game makes total sense. The part of me that's a little bit conflicted is it's an unfinished game. And it's not the prettiest game either, right? So it's for me, it's kind of a hard game to say, you know, here's our platform, here's PUBG, fun, but it's not quite right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the first impression you give somebody on your platform. So I understand why they're doing it, but I'm really conflicted by that choice. You know, because if I was sitting in the boardroom with those guys, I'd be like, okay, I see why you guys are doing it, but here's where I have a little bit of an issue. But, you know, I really would, because, you know, but I do see why you're doing it. So it's like, and you can't argue with the results. So it's one of those really difficult, I think, decisions, a really weird position to be in, to be honest with you.
The Witcher! Look, I'm playing The Witcher! Give me my vote. Give me my vote.
It is garbage, man.
Guys, I just want to let you know, as Don was
Why is your
talking,
Witcher wearing a dress?
Hey, man. He's
3 minutes of you rolling around and subbing through your menus, man.
Yeah, man. Look, don't hate, man. I had to get my recipes right, man. I'm fighting this crazy ass giant, man, off that DLC, man. This thing is
fighting really just rolling around and shit and goats and shit.
Yeah, man, look, you look.
Guys, I gotta say, I'm loving this tonight, yo. The gameplay has been fire. Hearing you guys like energized about this, yo. And I will let people know, as Don was talking, I did have an ear. I was listening to him, but I was also typing out the poll, because we are about to be ready to go live with the poll on Twitter as well. I do thank everybody ahead of time for voting for me. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Can they take back their votes?
No,
they can't. I would honestly just wait until y'all see my footage again. Just, you know.
Man,
some of y'all came in here.
Yeah, it's gonna come around again, guys.
Look at my advanced freezing bomb, man. He froze. Now that means I put in work on this game, bro. The Witcher.
I love it.
Give it
I
to
love
me.
it, yeah.
Give it to me.
I gotta ask, Pred, what do you think about this bundle with the S? I know one of the things I love about our panel is we all have strong opinions. We're not just like yes men. We don't just go with the flow. So I know Predator, he's gonna share exactly what he thinks about this. So man, what do you think? PUBG, Xbox One S, is this a great bundle in your opinion?
They late dollar short, man. They always seem to drop these bundles like after the fact. Like when Minecraft was a hit, I was like, yo, drop this Minecraft bundle. We've been asking for that for years. They finally dropped one, but it's also around the same time they dropped you know? And the PUBG thing, I was like, they should have did a bundle. They should have did a PUBG bundle right around the holidays, you know, and they didn't do it. Now they're doing it. You know, like what bothers me too about this, and like going forward, I don't know if this is gonna be a thing or not, but like you said about Sea of Thieves, they kind of dropped the ball there. They should have did a Sea of Thieves console. Mm-hmm. I've always been one to say I would rather have a custom controller with the game than a custom console, because you can only play on one console. You know, most people don't buy like 3 I mean, I'm not a collector like that. Some collectors are into this kind of stuff.
It's easier to collect controllers, though.
Yeah, it's easier to collect controllers because they're cheaper. You know,
Yeah.
they're probably cheaper to make too. But like, you might most people might buy one custom console ever. I've never bought one except my Scorpio edition, if you want to call that a custom console. But like a game themed console, I don't think I've ever owned one personally. I just get the console that came out at launch, and maybe I'll upgrade it a couple of years later and go with that. But for most people, I'm not. I can't speak for everybody, but I could see most casual people just buying one console and dealing with that one console for the whole entire generation until it's time to upgrade. But like, I'm actually looking forward to buying my first custom console this year, and I was thinking maybe it'd be Sea of Thieves. It's not. Maybe it'd be Crackdown. It's not. My issue is I want an X. If they're gonna do custom consoles with just a Slim, that kind of leaves us out in the wind as far as the X goes. And I don't know if they're gonna do, like, let's say they do a Crackdown. Are they going to do a Slim and an X version, or are they just going to do a Slim version?
You're going to do a cell shaded version of a console? Is that what you're asking?
I
don't know how you would do that.
Got thick black lines on the edges.
Yeah, pretty
Look
much.
at that. Drop the mic on
Oh,
him.
there it
Nobody
goes.
talk, baby. We out. Give me the vote.
Hey,
Where's the beast?
where do people go vote?
All right, well, here we go. I am going live on Twitter. It is at xbot448 on Twitter, and the poll is now... Oh, no. It is now up, people. The poll is up for the best gameplay for episode number 78 of the next podcast. All right.
And there's that pred footage again right there.
Yeah, Pred needs about 3 or 4 of them footages.
Yo, I
Man,
like-
look, I showed SSX, The Witcher.
All right, see.
And the game people have been asking me, hey, Mega, what game was that? That was Ninja Gaiden, Zyba. You know what I'm saying? I bring fire, son, Daylon style. Give it to me. Give me the
How much
win.
of that was on the PC, though? I just wanna know.
Dylon.
Oh, Zyba was on the PC,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, you know what I'm saying?
SSX was on the PC as well.
Yeah, man, look, we ain't gonna be disclosing things, but you know what I'm saying? The Witcher was on my Xbox, baby. We represent, man. We represent. You know what I'm saying? Xbox is related to the
Guys,
PC.
I put in that production value though. I had
Come on, now.
here comes the boom. I showed a Game Pass game. I showed a games with gold game. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All I know is every time someone votes for me, I'm going to put the frog.
We don't need the frog,
this
bro.
is
We don't
crucial
need-
tonight, man.
I'm gonna give me a picture of some frog legs or something.
All right, well, yo, check this out, guys. Let's move on to the next topic. It's I believe it's a development team called correct me if I'm wrong, Quantic Dream. They're the development team that does that is doing Detroit, right? Well, it seems that they might be in a little bit of trouble with a European government. They are based over in France, and due to some kind of like I guess you could say studio practices of weird pornographic type pictures that they're people on the team are kind of like sharing to each other and stuff like that, making other developers within that studio feel uncomfortable. It's just there's just a list of, I guess you can say, questionable actions within this studio, within certain things that it's to me this sounds like joking around, but it came out that they're sending all these like questionable pictures and gifs and all sorts of stuff like that. So the government of France is looking into these accusations, and they might be asking for money back. Now, this development team in France, they take advantage of something that the government does, calling it public money. There's a certain fund out there that businesses based in that country can use, basically money that they can use from the government to keep their business going, to keep everything flowing, keep the motor running and the lights on, basically. And the French government is thinking about asking for their money back now within this investigation. And there are people out there that are kind of concerned for this game Detroit, whether or not it's going to be canceled.
Did you guys see what the amount was?
No, what's the amount?
2.9 billion euros.
Holy shit! That's even more dollars.
What's that in real money?
So to put it in perspective, right? So like usually the defense is going to be, hey, well, Sony can come in here and save the day. The question is for Sony is this franchise or games on this particular developer worth $2.9 billion? And the answer is not very many billion-dollar franchises out there, so it's not looking good.
Yeah, but from what I've seen so far, the investigation is ongoing, so they're not asking for any money back yet.
Things have been filed, is where it's at. That's what I understand.
See, and guys, I know in this era, in this day and age, people expect people to be PC. Now, when it comes to joking around like that, I can say from me and my group of friends, we send crazy stuff to each other all the time. Now, if you send it to the wrong person within who you're working with and stuff, and they don't like it, like, just stop sending it to them. But I don't know in detail what's going on, but I know joking around, some of the stuff I heard in terms of pictures, I can see my friends doing it. Yeah.
It was drawn on like whiteboards and it's stuff like so there's a code. Here's the thing. So to put a little bit more context into what's going on there. So it's stuff been drawn inappropriately during meetings. It's in the actual like relating to the business, kind of joking around, which is kind of inappropriate, like in a workplace. Amongst friends outside of work, I get that. That's a totally different scenario, right? But in the workplace, there's a sort of code of conduct. You have people from different racial backgrounds. You have different genders and stuff like that. So people are not everyone's going to take it the same way. Also, in France, things are a little bit different on what they consider appropriate and what's not appropriate. They're a lot more strict, as far as what I understand, in the workplace than they are here in the United States. And we know that some of the PC stuff that happens here in the States, right? So France is a very very little. They have like zero tolerance for that sort of stuff. So that's the reason why all this stuff has like some sort of weight. So a lot of times when people are listening to us and they're from other countries, we always try to explain in America, this is a situation where we, a lot of our audience that's here in America needs to understand. In France, it's a little bit different. And so, give it a little more, just to give it a little more context there.
I got you. Well, at this point, what do you think, Don? Do you think this is do you think the game's going to be canceled? Do you think Quantic Dream is in some serious trouble over there in Europe? And if the game gets canceled, is this a big hit in Sony's lineup for this year?
I don't know how much this.
I know a lot of people that are looking forward to the game, man.
Yeah, I know people are, and people are talking about it, but people have always talked about games that this studio's made, but I don't think they've really made huge waves in general. And yes, it will hurt their lineup. I don't think it will hurt their lineup in the big run. I mean, the big loser on this is the studio. It sucks to hear a studio maybe possibly close down. It sucks to hear that you couldn't keep it just professional enough so people can get along, right, and a team can put out a good product, right. I'd much rather have a product that's out there in the wild than not at all. When it comes from a gamer's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. And I think we possibly might be missing out on it. It really depends on if the government finally goes through and it goes through their court system, which I don't pretend I know or understand how that system works over there. But if it goes through their court systems and if everything kind of goes through, then it's game over for the game.
All right, I'm
going to
go out on a limb here, and this is going to be kind of like my final opinions. I know we're gonna go across the panel and see what Predator and K Mega thinks. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that somehow, some way, this development team is going to come to some type of compromise with the French government, and I think the game is still going to come out. That's my opinion. I think it's still going to come out.
So more like they'll treat it almost like a line of credit or back taxes that they have to pay back, essentially. Is that what you're thinking?
I think they'll work out. Lawyers do what lawyers do, and I don't know how like with you, I don't know how the French court goes about things, the French government goes about things, but work out some type of compromise, kind of get a first time offender type status. You know what I'm saying? Because in all actuality, there was no ruling put in place that any of these companies would give money back accordance to any type of behavioral issues. They're looking to put that in place now.
So that's not in place now?
So it's not in place now. They're looking
so they're
to
using
put it in
to
place.
use this company as an example?
Exactly. That's what I think's gonna happen. I think the game's still gonna come out, but that's my opinion. Yo, Mr. International, our boy Predator, man. I don't know if you know anything about the French government or anything like that, but what do you think's gonna happen with Detroit and Quantic Dream, dude?
I still think it'll come out. It may get delayed a bit.
Maybe that's a good point too.
The thing is, like, the developers haven't really said anything other than they think it's a smear campaign, but like they haven't really like addressed the issues. You know what I'm saying? Like they haven't said like, oh, this didn't happen, or this is. I mean, or like like usually when something like this happens, if you did it and you're guilty of it, you apologize for it in advance, and maybe fire somebody or something like that, or get rid of it. But like. Like they haven't mentioned anything about any of that kind of stuff. I still think the game will come out. I think it's going to really screw the company over in the future. But I think the game will come out somehow. It'll come out. And like you were saying, they'll probably come to some sort of agreement out of court. Maybe some financial money to get paid one way or another. But I mean, it's just hard to read their documents because it's the way it's written. I guess it was a little difficult for me to understand what they're really saying, what's going on in it. But I still think the game's going to come out. I think Quantic Dreams?
I think it's Quantic Dreams.
I would question, what's going to happen with that company going forward after this game releases. And like Don was saying, I think my first instinct was to say, yeah, Sony just probably pony up the money, no pun intended, and and help, get this game out. But it's not going to be worth 2.9 billion euros or 3.
No, the franchise is not worth
$billion dollars.
They can produce 6 games. They won't. They won't want that much money.
Mega, I want to make you happy real quick. On Mixer, our boy Spider-Man said that your gameplay was better than mine. I gotta put it out there.
Appreciate it. I wish I could see my Mixer family out there, but man.
Right after that, he said, "But Predator was better than everybody." See that part?
How did King Mega get 1% of the vote? That's what I want to know.
Oh, man. Cold blood.
No. Like
I ain't voted for myself yet. Hold on.
I believe it's 24 hours, guys. 24 hours until the voting's done. So
see, I'm a true man. I'll vote. I will not vote for myself.
I will. Hold on.
Listen to that. You no honor amongst men.
That might be the one that puts it over the edge. Right,
I will vote for one of my teammates, man.
Guys, just
you know what? You're right. I shouldn't even vote because it's not going to be close.
Page, so that will be right on top of my profile page on Twitter for 24 hours. Yeah.
Yo, you guys are mess. Man. Man,
oh man, it's like the old days. The next podcast.
Fable Legends. Y'all don't have any of this.
Yeah, man. Look at Fonzarelli, man, talking trash, man. I don't hit L's, man. I sit there. I deliver them. So once I win, I'm saying I hope you come back next week and then you watch my gameplay.
Did he just refer to himself as the L delivery service?
Yeah, well, I deliver these L's. Yes, I deliver them. You know what I'm saying?
Look at that Fable Legends footage right there, man.
I know. I see that. Look at that, man.
Dude, I love the emotes. Awesome. For the Fable Legends, I thought the emotes were tremendous, dude. But yo, Mega, what do you think about this? Do you think Quantic is gonna get? You think they're gonna get out of this, and Detroit is gonna come out? I'm being positive. It sounds like Predator is kind of in that same camp with me. That the game is gonna come out. He doesn't know what the future holds afterwards. I think they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing. They're just gonna have to kind of, I don't know, tighten their ship. In their studio. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, we talked about this last night, and I feel that the game is going to still come out just for the mere fact that Sony has funded it. But the problem is about advertising. Will Sony advertise this game like they were before all of these allegations came out? Because regardless of what people may think of, because like I said, this game from Quantum Dream looks really enticing. It is my strongly anticipated game for 2018 for PlayStation, and I'm really excited about it. But again, it's not a good look, especially with the things that Sony has had to them in the past, trying to promote this game with all of these things that's being alleged. And also, this is the real deal because the Paris Council is that's investigating them has came out with a document that was titled "The Toxic Corporation Culture of Sexist, Homophobic, Racist, Anti-Semitic photo montages and extremely questionable termination procedures that has caused the issue with the labor law." That was their title towards this company.
That's an extreme title. Do you think that's just like an umbrella statement of a couple incidents, or are they trying to cover all that stuff? Because
all they're missing is 3 words there: Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin. Like,
I know, and this is coming from them. And then also, like, the one thing about it that's why I feel I'm agreeing with Predator is that this game is still going to come out, but we don't know if Sony's going to promote this game as hard as they were, and what is the future going to look like for this company? Because they have, the head of Quantum Dream have sit there and debunked this and said this is all propaganda, fake news. But these people, said they help fund on their projects, and they also get a generous tax credit.
Yes.
So these people, so the government helps supports their work, and if they get, since they're getting investigated and they get found guilty, they're done, Jack. It's over. It's a wrap. It's finito, chitons. Because there's nobody that's going to go out there and try to help them, especially with all of the allegations that came against them. And everybody is being really sensitive to a lot of the things, especially you have the Me Too crowd. You have,
it's all over the place now.
Yeah. You have all different types of people that, especially you can't, whatever your work culture is like. We understand that a lot of people likes to have a lot of fun and likes to joke, and some people, in some places you can't have that type of Family Guy, South Park humor. And in some places, because there will be people that
I grew up like, man, I was there for the start of South Park and stuff like that, so I can see certain things that, today would be like, yo, why are they saying that? Oh, that means you're this and that means you're that. Like, I know I'm none of those things, but I've been parts of jokes like that. I can't lie, man. I'm gonna be honest to people.
But there's a difference when you work at the ground level sometimes at say a job versus a leadership position, right? So, and that's what we don't know about these allegations. It's all hearsay, and I've heard things, and I'm just like, yeah, come on, guys, we live in a country where we're innocent, proven guilty. To go through the court system, let them do their thing, and see where it goes. But I'm just saying though that I think we should preserve that. That's what America is about in that sense. Now, if someone's guilty, that they're punishable by the full length of the law, and I'm 100% on board with that, right? But let due process happen. I think that's essential to preserve, and just the way we behave and how we act. So, it sucks, man. I hear about this sort of thing, and like, there's the things I heard about. I'm like, man, you don't do that in that work environment, right? You simply don't. And these are your coworkers. These are people that you need to treat with respect, right? Mm-hmm. These are people you depend on for a living. They're part of this big cog, this big machine, to make it so you can actually get a paycheck, right? You show that with the utmost respect. That's what allows you to feed your family and things like that. And then when you're outside of work and you have friends outside of work, that's what those group of friends are for, where you can joke around and there's not going to be harsh feelings. That those people are not going to take it the wrong way, and just behave in a way that's just a little bit more respectful.
Man, what are you saying in the chat?
I'm reading some of the stuff in the chat. Look, this is, regardless of what people can say on the chat and people can say in the privacy of their own homes, it's totally different in the workforce. And there are rules that you have to go by. Regardless of however people will look at it and say that this is turning into a soft society, SJWs, whatever. But look, I don't want to go to my job and somebody sit there and say, "Hey, Spook, how you doing today? You doing all right? You gonna go out there? You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna steal nothing
They
today,
say
are
that
you?"
okay.
I'm just saying, I'm about to go across a motherfucker's head if they say something like that. So I'm just saying. So look, I'm not going to saying anything racist or homophobic or anything that's demeaning to women. You know what I'm saying, in front of anybody that it might offend. You got to know your work surroundings, and regardless, this man, he does come off as a jerk. You know what I'm saying? There's been many people that said that he has this type of attitude about him, and regardless if he's great at what he does, I mean, there's been plenty of people that have been doing great things through the movie industry, and look at them, they've been shut the hell down like it's been the ATF, man, because you know what I'm saying, they've been exposed for doing things that they ain't supposed to be doing. And so look, you just can't do this. And so that's why I say it puts Sony's in a precarious situation, because if they promote this game, that means that they're, to some, that they are promoting these type of behaviors in the workforce.
I think you brought up the kind of like the more important question, like when it comes down to the actual issue, right? I'm looking at it like I live in the United States, and in the court of the United States, if there wasn't anything saying that, you know, there's stipulations that you should pay the money back if this happens or that happens, if there's no precedence to give money back for this situation, then, you know, they'll get kind of like a slap on the wrist. They'll put in that stipulation and then move on. They might not get any money for the future, but the Sony marketing is actually, I think it's a bigger question right now, because you saw what happened with No Man's Sky once it came out, and so, like, you know, Sony basically threw those guys under the bus and said, you fend for yourself. So in this situation,
and slowly step backwards. They're just like, you got this.
Yeah. So in this situation,
yeah,
I think Mega,
you guys deal with this bullshit.
Mega sparked the bigger question. It's like, well, do you think they're going to do that here? Yo, Predator, what do you think? You think they're going to do that here?
It depends on what comes out of the wash. You know, like you were saying, you're guilty until proven innocent. But like, and I mentioned earlier, like, you know, like, usually when stuff like this happens, a company kind of comes out and kind of says, okay, this is what we found, or there's like an internal investigation or some stupid shit like that going on. Mm-hmm. So once all that comes out and we find out what actually happened, because like they're saying it's a smear campaign, but who's doing it? Like, who's smearing shit? You know, who's saying, like, I want to know who's doing that. They didn't mention
and why are they motivated by it, right?
Exactly. Like, you know,
if that's the case.
The French government would not get involved in like one person saying something, but this isn't like one thing. It's multiple things they're talking about going on within that company. So there's got to be some truth behind it to some degree. So once everything gets washed out, I think Sony could easily be like, thank you for playing, and you guys can do your own thing now. The only way for them to even get close to recouping any of this money is to make this game multi-plat. You know, I don't think that's going to happen. But Sony is most likely going to, I think Sony will wait and see what comes out first. It won't be like, you know, typically when something like this happens with a person, like when Tiger Woods stuff happened, all those sponsors were like, yeah, we're just gonna slide to the left a little bit here. We're in this, like, handle this by yourself. And Sony hasn't done that yet, but I'm sure they're asking questions. So we'll see. Give it some time, and see, like, as it gets close. Because right now we still don't have a launch date either for this game. And if that slips, that'll be your indicator right there. Like, okay, they slipped this date back because it's supposed to come out this year. They actually put something out on Twitter like earlier in the week that the game is still coming in 2018.
Yeah,
and that was before all this other shit happened.
Well, here's the sad thing too, right? Like, let's say, like, best case scenario, the game makes it out there, it's out in the wild. Sony steps back. You know, that's I think the best that this could all play out at this point, right? For quantum dream. Quantic dream.
Sorry, I want to say quantum.
I know. I want to say quantum break.
Correct me.
I want to say quantum break every time. Yeah, exactly. But the damage has already been done for the company, right? Like, say you're a talented individual in the industry. I wouldn't want to work for these guys. Not at all. And it doesn't even matter if it's true or not. I just don't want to be associated with that. I don't want that stain on my resume, right? So, like, you know, the long-term effects of these allegations are very harmful to the studios. So it sucks for them for sure, true or not.
I don't know. At the end of the day, I think the game's going to come out. Like I said, I think K Mega he hit on an even bigger question, because when it comes down to it, I feel like there was no precedence there before for a stipulation to which they would have to give the money back. And so they're going to instill that. I think the developer is going to get kind of like a slap on the wrist and kind of move on, possibly not get any funding in the future. And there goes the Don with being in the car grabbing that stick shift. But anyway, I think the Sony marketing is probably the bigger question, and I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. Are they gonna throw these devs under the bus the way they did for the developers of No Man's Sky?
I don't even think it's a question, though. I mean,
it would be smart for them
Nintendo.
too.
Nintendo did it in the 8-bit days with Mike Tyson, right? It's no longer Mike Tyson's Punch Out; it's Punch Out, right?
It's not Tiger Woods; it's Roy McIlroy.
Yeah, exactly. So sponsorships, when you get busted for something that's not kosher, regardless if you have a contract that doesn't cover that or not, and people are out. People are just like, I don't want to be affiliated with that. So I see the same thing happening with Sony. It's not worth the money, and you're not going to get your return on that.
Well, hold on, wait a minute. You say that though, but when I mentioned this last night on GRG, isn't Naughty Dog got some stuff like this going on within their company too?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more in the. You're right, but it's more in the allegation stages. Like, it's a little bit more in the ether. This one's a little bit.
Let's be frank.
A little more
they're
weight
not
on
getting
it.
rid of Naughty Dog.
they're not, but you know what? They don't talk them up right now. They're just letting it blow over.
There's a lot of people.
There's nothing to really talk up with Naughty Dog right now either.
Exactly. So they're just letting it all kind of blow over. I mean, I've heard things about Naughty Dog as well, but I don't know what to think about them. It's because it's all hearsay. It's all water cooler talk. And some people I know have worked at the studio, and I just, are you just a bitter employee, or are you, I question those things, right?
Yeah.
So so you kind of always have to take all the. That's why my thing is, like, you always want to take things with a grain of sand. These are serious allegations. They need to be treated with all the people that are being accused, and the other way on the victim side, we just have to treat it with respect, and just like, don't have the dog in the fight until they figure out what's really going on in the situation. And then if they find out what the truth is, and if it's something you stand against, then stand against it. And I think that's the time to really call people out.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see what Sony does. In my opinion, I know this is a game that Snaps was looking forward to for her PS4. And for people who are looking forward to this game, I would say as of right now, don't be too stressed out. I think it's still going to come out. Predator brought up something that, it could be delayed. That could be a thing as well as the process is going forward. But I still think the game is going to come out. I don't think it's going to be that big of a hit in terms of the PS4's lineup. Because I feel like the heavy hitters this year are really God of War and Spider-Man. I figure if one of those two games like doesn't come out this year, then I'll be like, damn, like they really took a hit this year. But other than that, I don't think a lot of people were hanging their hat on this game kind of like releasing or being the meat of the lineup for this year. But other than that, let's move on, because Capcom Vancouver, they actually talking about developers and their jobs and stuff like that. Capcom Vancouver just basically cut 30% of their development studio. Basically 30% of their devs are jobless right now. And it affected a future game, an unannounced game that was in development, said that that's no longer going to come out. And a lot of people are now questioning the future of Dead Rising. And you guys know Dead Rising is a game that, when you think Dead Rising, you think Xbox. I mean, let's be honest here. So let's go to the Don. Don, what do you think about this news from Capcom Vancouver? basically laying off so many developers. What do you think is going to happen with Dead Rising? Do you think we've seen the last kind of like iteration of that franchise, man?
I don't know. I mean, it's had a good run, right? I mean, it's had several sequels.
It's had a decent run, man. I don't think
Yeah.
it hasn't sold like crazy throughout its
Well,
lifetime either.
well, that's why I say by a good run because it has. It's not the blockbuster, right? It has some success, right? And in the amount of sequels that have been made with the amount of success they have is good on them. In regards, and I think they're talented people. I think they'll land on their feet. I've heard through Kama Sutra and stuff like that, a lot of developers reaching out to that team, trying to keep those people as much together as possible, and extending that olive branch to work for them. So they're recognized for their talents. I think everyone's going to land on their feet. When you work in the industry and you work for, let's say, maybe a major publisher, you gotta save a nest egg. Like, this is my advice to anybody that works in the industry. You have to save up a nest egg because there are things that are completely out of your control as far as how the market swings one way or another, who's funding the project, all that sort of stuff, how they'll restructure a company. I worked for a company that basically laid off all their art staff before I left, or right after I left, and they're licensing out to another studio to do all of the artwork for their VR games. And that stuff happens, and it's nothing personal against the staff that was there. They were super talented people, but layoffs happen, studios close down. You work in the entertainment industry, so you can get paid good. Save up that nest egg. Don't live like a rock star. Make sure
can you party like one sparingly?
You can party like one sparingly. Like Big Lebowski style, like bathrobe and White Russians. But outside of that, just live live a normal conservative life, far as your lifestyle goes, until that nest egg is out of control, and then go rock out, right? But not until then.
Now, Don, I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, but if for some rhyme or reason we don't get another Dead Rising, I want to know how many Dead Risings have you played, and let me know which one was your favorite out of the ones that you played.
I think I played 1, 2, 3, and the last one was the Christmas one, the fourth one.
Yeah.
So I played all of them. I actually liked the Christmas one the best out of all of them. And my second favorite was the third one. It's mostly because I took that stupid timer out of things. I didn't like the timer.
Yeah.
That really kind of took away from the exploration what they put in the game. And so as soon as they took the timer out, that's when I really started enjoying the franchise even more.
Yeah, I gotta say, my absolute favorite was the third one. I thought the art style, the graphics when it came to what the zombies look like, what the psychos were doing, and kind of like the creativity there. I would say DR3 was my favorite one. But let's move on down the panel. Mega, what do you think about what's going on over at Capcom Vancouver? And I want to know your opinion. What do you think is going to happen with Dead Rising, man?
I think Dead Rising is pretty much probably done unless somebody goes ahead and tries to scoop it up to be an exclusive. Maybe Microsoft might try to do it because it's been on the Xbox here.
Do you think they would do that with like the sales numbers for the Ps4 iterations?
I think it would be smart. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Look, exclusives are exclusives. Look, PlayStation has plenty of exclusives that don't sell astronomical numbers. So why is it got to be that everything that Xbox has to do has to hit some type of number in order for it to be a great exclusive?
Good point.
So I think so again, an exclusive is an exclusive. To add that game to the portfolio is a win, regardless if it's trash to a lot of people or not.
Well, that being said, K-Mega, do you think that it's kind of almost a perfect fit for Game Pass?
Absolutely. And
right? Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And that was what I was going to allude to as well, is that with Game Pass being one of those games, look, that if Dead Rising 4 came out with Game Pass, how much more traction that game would have got. We all know that it came out at the wrong time.
Oh, that came out day and date, man. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that date was absolutely atrocious. Most games that comes out in December has a death wish. It's just already have. It's just, even with the positive steps that was happening with what was that shooter? I can't not Ghost Recon. What is that game called? Rainbow Six Siege. It didn't sell worth a damn. Tomb Raider didn't sell very well. You know what I'm saying? And it should have sold better, but it still started off slow. Rainbow Six Siege didn't get its traction until later on because of the great DLC that they've offered. So it's just one of the things where it just came out at the wrong time, and a lot of people just didn't feel it the way that they felt the previous iterations. So that don't mean you should quit on it, but I do think that Capcom is not going to make it a priority for them to make another Dead Rising unless somebody say that, hey, look, we want this game to be a part of our catalog. So I don't think the game per se is dead. I just don't think Capcom is going to make
life support right now.
Yeah, it's on life support. I think somebody has to go in and say, look, we want to fund this game to come out.
But
I don't think
over on Mixer, OBX Blackbeard, he seems to be more accepting than you in terms, like, he basically said Capcom should bring back Beautiful Joe, but then after that he's like, for Dead Rising, it's been a good run. So I think he's basically saying that, if it's done, it's done. It had its run, and he's kind of like accepting the fact that it might not be we might not get another one, man.
Well, and he could be right, but I think again is one of the things that people say that the lack is for the Xbox One this generation is exclusives. It still is an exclusive. It doesn't matter if the game sells astronomical numbers. It still would be an exclusive. It would be a smart move. You put that on Game Pass, I guarantee you that game would get a lot more traction than what the last
Mega, I would agree with you, but I think when it comes to Dead Rising, like, even if you have like a cult following to a game, I think that really warrants, making more iterations, more sequels, stuff like that. I think we might be past the time of Dead Rising's kind of like quote unquote cult following, though, man. To be really honest with you,
you might be right. I'm you know what I'm saying. Look, I've barely gotten through Dead Rising. I haven't been the biggest fan of Dead Rising, so I'm not gonna come in here and tout it and say that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it's, to me, there is a following, and just with any other game that we've seen that we'll ask, like with Knack or with I don't know, just other games like the Gundam series. Those games don't sell worth a damn, but there's a strong fan base because they love the anime, and they will keep bringing those games because those games has a fan base. So obviously, this is the one time that it had that Dead Rising had a blip. You know what I'm saying? All the rest of the Dead Rising sold well. I remember when there were so many people that didn't like the new direction of Dead Rising 3. Well, that was one of the best.
That's one of the best ones, man.
Yeah, it was one of the best selling Dead Rising. So all they got to do is just get back to the basics. Take their time on making the game, implement it in Game Pass, and I think everything will be fine. But I don't think that you should just abandon the series just because of the lackluster that 4 had. I mean, all games is going to go through a downward spiral eventually.
Am I the only one that feels that like Capcom should just sell some of their IPs they're not going to utilize? I feel like they have a lot of good stuff, and I feel like, if they're not
sitting on a gold mine, dude.
Yeah, if they're not interested in making games with those franchises, then get rid of them, because that's what my fear is. Like, Capcom dwindles from the excellence they once were, right? Mm-hmm. And those franchises just die on the vine. And that, to me, is just, as somebody is a long-term gamer, somebody from the 8-bit era, right? Mm-hmm. That tugs at my heartstrings. I'm just like, they can do so much with. I mean, they can do so much with Commando. They can do so much with, even more than what they're doing currently right now with Street Fighter. I know Street Fighter's starting to do well again, but they can do even so much more.
It's finally a complete game.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to harp on it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you look at everything they have, and they have like so many iconic franchises that that
I
really
vote for
they could
Power
take it to the
Stone.
next level.
I vote for Power Stone on
Oh
Xbox.
man, Power Stone. I mean, I don't miss you. There's
I mean, even games that I don't like, I'm like, hey, Mega, some of those games I can care less for, right? But it doesn't mean I don't want them to exist, and it doesn't mean I don't want them to exist for the people that would enjoy it. And Capcom's they brought a lot of fun to gamers, and it just kind of just saddens me to see where they're at. And they need to whittle it down. Go beyond the studios, sell some of the franchises you're not interested in making.
Yo, shout out to Damien D in the YouTube chat. He was like, Dead Rising series has been going downhill since 3, and 4's Christmas setting was a mistake. And you know what? I might have to agree with you a little bit on the Christmas setting. It didn't hold a lot of replay value if you went back and looked at the game in like June or July, after the game released. It's like, man, do I really want to go back and hear the Christmas jingles and stuff like that again? I know you can play your own music over the game. You shut the game's music off and everything like that. But I think I got to side with Damien on the 4th iteration. Maybe that whole setting was a mistake, man.
Yeah, no, it was. It was. I think that's what I'm saying. December is just not. Everybody's already spent mostly all the money that they're going to spend in November. You know what I'm saying? You got a window from February, maybe at the end of January when people start getting their tax returns in January. There's some lucky people that get it. But from February, from February to November, that's where you have a gap. And I mean, and that's why in the summertime, that's why it dwindles down, because people be taking vacations and things like that nature. So that's why you have a dip in the summertime, and then it kicks into gear in September. But no, December is just not a good month to bring out any new game. It's just not, because people are going to overlook it, or they're going to wait and they're going to buy it sometime next year anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's got to be a huge title for somebody to go ahead and jump on it. And Dead Rising isn't that huge title. It never has been a huge title like that. I look at Dead Rising on the same pathway as maybe, like Magic Kingdom or something like that comes from them, or maybe I don't know, just Joint Strike. It's a bigger game than that, but it's just not the game that everybody's going to just look at as that banger, like Bionic Commando. You know what I'm saying? The game might get some buzz, but it's not going to sell like hotcakes. It's just not. It just wasn't the right time for it. So look, Capcom has a lot of IPs that they should release, because they're not gonna bring back those older games like that, because it's just too expensive. I mean, look, we're waiting for a Breath of Fire. I think that there's supposed to be one coming to the Nintendo, maybe. I don't know if it's going to come to the PlayStation or not, but you know what I'm saying? They can get rid of games like that and let other companies utilize the assets, so they can be more stable and focus on Resident Evil and stuff like that. Yeah,
I can definitely see that. I mean, they're sitting on a treasure trove of IPs, of titles, of franchises that they're not even using right now. And if that's the case, and you are thinking about money as a corporation or whatnot, fish those titles around, fish those IPs around, see what companies might want to scoop them up, and see what the value is like on the market. I don't see why they wouldn't do that.
It's nothing wrong with that. It's like the same thing like selling a building, right? You just have a bunch of fax machines stored in, right? It has no value, but it has value to somebody else, and it's about bringing more income and dump it in something you do believe in. So I mean and Capcom's not known to do this. I haven't heard of this, but there are some publishers out there that will buy out titles that are lesser known before they actually hit release, just to squash it, because they don't want competition in that area.
Damn, that's brutal.
That happens in the movie industry. That happens also in the game industry. Just so people know, and I'm not going to name names because it's all hearsay, right? But I know for a fact that it does happen. So, and I hate to see this happen. If that was what Capcom was doing, just like, well, I don't want anyone else making it, because then it becomes competition with us. That I don't think that's the right mindset as far as that stuff goes, right? If you can't do anything great with it, or if it hasn't worked for you, then sell it, right? and and sometimes some of your franchises are overlapping. I mean, King has said so many different titles. I thought I'm very versed in Capcom. Some of those titles I've never heard of in my life, right? No, Kingman does play.
He knows his shit, man.
he does play a different plethora of games than I don't, right? But some of the stuff I just haven't even heard of, and that just shows you how rich their portfolio is. They have so much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, look, people have been anticipating Dino Crisis. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Crimson Tears.
People, hold on. People have talked about Dino Crisis for years now, but see, I have had the benefit of being a gamer and being of sound mind, like throughout releases of certain games. And when Dino Crisis came out, Capcom got hung to the rafters for the camera in that game. Basically, there was a lot of hits taken in terms of that game.
The camera was bad in Resident Evil, though. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But it still didn't mean that the game was still fun.
People talk shit about that game when it first released. I will let you know that now. That was a huge thing in the gaming community.
This is a game right here that I think a lot of people would enjoy for them to bring back. It's a classic. I would hope that that Xbox would bring it as a backwards compat, and that's Azura's Wrath. That game was so damn dope. It was over the top. It was really Japanese, but that game was really good.
There wasn't a lot of negativity when that game.
That game was fire. Like when you fight a boss that's coming over, that's bigger than the planet Earth, and is punching at you, and you're beating his ass. That's saying something, Jack. That to me, me
and Predator have no idea what game we're talking about.
Man, look up Azura's Wrath. That game is absolutely fire, man. But I mean, Capcom has so many games. You go remember 1942. I know nobody wouldn't want to see another 1942. You know what I'm saying? But look, but I think what Capcom made the mistake at is that they keep on bringing games that I think a lot of people don't really want. I mean,
I want another Power Stone. Me personally, I want another Power Stone.
Yeah.
Dude, that game was great on Dreamcast, but
redo Final Fight. You know what I'm saying? Forgotten Worlds. How can anybody not remember Forgotten Worlds if you're old enough? If you're old as us, you know what I'm saying? I mean, those games. You know what I'm saying? Ghosts and Goblins. How can you not bring that back?
That's right. They own Ghosts and Goblins. No one's.
Yes.
They have so many 8-bit franchises. They haven't been able to make the proper leap to 3D. And
right.
they did
do Maximo. Maximo was a 3D.
But I'm just saying, like a lot of their portfolio, they have like this age portfolio where they do have mechanics I think that would work for 3D with newer studios and stuff like that today. But they're not even touching that stuff, right? Some of the core basic mechanics are, some of the things I go back to and I try to learn for what I'm doing. Because I have to try to be as much of a jack of all trades, is I go back to the 8-bit era. They were so limited in some of the core mechanics that you got from that era can apply to modern day games, and they have so many different play mechanics. I mean, Ghosts and Goblins is just in general there's never been another game like it, right? No. Like it's kind of been like a one and done, but people still talk about it today.
Yeah. What about Lost Planet? I mean, I know Lost Planet 3 didn't do really well, but that don't mean that you give up on it. That's what I'm not understanding that. And like, I mean, if you're going to bring back another Mega Man, and that game is not going to sell. Look, I know Don loves Mega Man, but Mega Man is not going to sell more than what Dead Rising has sold. It's just not. But it's a beloved franchise, and I'm happy that they'll bring it back. But the problem is
a lot of it is also the cost of development as well. I don't think it.
Yeah, so Mega Man didn't cost that much to make.
Exactly.
What they've decided because they scaled it back, right? They originally were going to start dumping more money, and they realized, well, this is the wrong way to go.
I got to give you an SSX tutorial, man. I swear.
Man, look, bro. Man, come on, man. Look, it was my second time playing the game. I ain't played it in a couple of years.
Well, you and Don are like leading in voting right now. So, if there are Xbox fans out there, if there are Predator fans out there, guys, you got to get on Twitter. You got to vote, man. Seriously.
More importantly, can you make a fly out here, man? I'll get you some free passes on the resorts out here. We'll get you on the slopes.
Cool. I'll go out there and my fat ass will break my leg, but I'll be definitely out there.
Oh, the old fiber fix that. We're good to go.
Good.
For the rest of the day.
I'm with it. As long as you got some Cambodian yak milk, I am all about that life.
None of that, but I have some of that Space Sea cow milk that you like.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yo, guys, if that's all we had to say on Catcom, there is one more subject I really want to hear your opinions on before we have to go, because it's getting on that 9 o'clock, and we actually started 4 minutes after 7, so we're literally earlier than what we normally start at. The thing is, Red Dead Redemption 2 leak. When it comes to it, there's been a couple leaks. One of them people are talking about a lot more, and that's in terms of a quote unquote battle royale mode, set in Western times, Rockstar doing it for Red Dead Redemption 2. I have heard a couple things in terms of Red Dead Online, to a point where you can purchase tents and upgrade your tents, and you can buy land, kind of like what they do with GTA Online in terms of mansions and apartments and stuff like that, but on a Western level where you could buy land and you can build a house, upgrade it, and stuff like that. Let's go to Predator first. First of all, are you excited about Red Dead Redemption 2? What do you think about them possibly doing that Western Online, which it's almost a guarantee that they're going to do that? And do you think it needs a battle royale mode, man?
Fred left.
He left. Why did he leave?
I don't know. Well, he's not answering.
Fred's probably on the phone or something.
Right,
he's over here probably doing it.
So Pred is now my code name for the Don. So Don.
I don't even know how to take that. Because Pred's a pretty cool dude. Yeah. All right, so what was the question? Since I wasn't
basically, first off, because I've gone on record, I'm not a big cowboy dude. All right, so Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm not even thinking about getting that day one, and that's just because of personal preference. My grandmother tortured me with cowboy shows when I was young, all the time, man. Ponderosa, the Rifleman, it was nothing but cowboys and news. So I can't get into cowboy stuff, right? But I know a lot of people are excited for it. I want to know if you're excited for it. Are you excited for what is basically a guarantee in terms of Red Dead Online, where you can buy land, you can put a tent on your land and basically upgrade it and into houses and stuff like that? And do you think it needs a battle royale mode, which has been rumored lately?
Well, that's going to be the template going forward with battle royale with some sort of team deathmatch. It's just going to be a staple part of multiplayer, I think, for most games to a certain degree, and whatever spin that people are going to put on it. But yeah, there's not a lot of Rockstar games I like, to be totally honest with you. I don't mind open world. I actually like open world, but it's not a checkbox that makes me say, hey, I'm going to buy this game. Because I'm more concerned about direction of the game, and if you have an open world game that doesn't really feel like it has direction, then you lose me as an audience member. And that's kind of how I feel a lot about Rockstar games. The gameplay's never been top tier of everybody else what they've been putting out there, but they're very much living worlds.
Yeah. And
that's not enough to draw me personally in, right? And I understand why people like them. I'm a very much pro component. Even if it's not a game for me, it doesn't mean you should not play it. I encourage all gamers to play games and make those decisions for themselves. And even if it's a genre that you're not a huge fan of, I'm still going to give it a shot, right? Just because you never know, and I don't want to miss out on a good experience of a preconceived notion that I may have or not.
I'm going to be going to the bordello in Red Dead Online.
But that being said, what really concerns me is, okay, I understand games as a service, and I'm actually fully in support of that, right? Mm-hmm. But the bigger thing is more and more games do that. You can only play so many games as a service games. We're talking about our backlogs all the time. Mm-hmm. And I look at Red Dead, and now you have that. So I'm starting to understand more and have a better feeling about we really need crossplay between platforms, because it allows people to find an additional audience. So it's, I know Mooch would always make the argument, Destiny's never going to be dead. Well, guess what? It's in competition with games with a service.
Dude, Destiny last year made over $1 billion just in microtransactions. So.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is it's a living world that depends on other players, right?
Yeah.
And it saw a steep drop off this holiday season, and it's probably going to see another drop off, and they're going to continue to add content. But I think what's important is more and more games as a service. You really only have so many available hours from the gamers to play these things. So it's important to have that crossplay because they may not invest on an Xbox. They may not invest in a PlayStation. They may not invest in a PC. So the whole crossplay thing is making more and more sense. And it makes more and more sense as we see games as a service as a thing. Mm-hmm. And we all know Rockstar is just going to. They're like Call of Duty. They suck all the money out of the industry. Like all the available money from gamers is gone for a good 2 or 3 months after they release the title. So it's going to be a big game. It's going to do well. I just, in these battle royale modes, it's just another games as a service stuff, and then they're going to continue to add that stuff.
Yeah, well, see, but with battle royale, and we talked about this on Crossfire last night, and my whole thing is. When it comes to PUBG, you have so many different weapons and stuff like that it makes the game interesting, right? Even Fortnite, there's so many different weapons over there. But when you're looking at the Western, you got what? Shotguns and hand cannons, basically. I'm not sure. To me, it feels tacked on just because it's the thing right now, and I'm not sure if I like that, man.
Well, and who knows? We don't know if the core game mechanics of the new Red Dead is going to play to that, right? And those are legitimate concerns. So, I don't think what you're saying is not valid. It's 100% valid. What are you going to do to give it that variety that draws you in on a PUBG style game? I think one of the other things is, and I think people think about it, but it's just kind of in the back of their mind. The terrain is a big part of the battle royale. It's just as much as star as the weapons sometimes, and so that's where I see where the really will shine is with the terrain in the setting, and that goes with other games that are going to be doing the battle royale. We keep hearing rumors about, we hear about Wildlands, possibly adding that mode. You think about Bolivia's terrain, it's oh my gosh, that would be insane.
Yeah,
and it's not just the weapons or the core game mechanics, but that terrain is what makes that game. And so you add that battle royale element, it totally changes the combat. So,
well, Doc,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be given there for sure.
I was gonna say I know me and you can agree on one thing when it comes to Red Dead Redemption in terms of the battle royale mode. They need to have the feature of going in without any pants. Right?
Yes. So actually, a little bit different. Wow. Just chaps.
Just chaps? Oh no! No, you don't understand. The way to win in PUBG, you have to go into the game with no pants on. That's the way to win.
It startles so many people, especially when you're in a house and you creep around the corner and you have one of those long jackets and you realize there's something missing on the character. You come around and they don't know where to shoot. They shoot the wall. They shoot above you, below you. They feel a little bad. Just take a kill.
All right, well, let's move on to K Mega. I have a feeling Mega is definitely interested in Red Dead 2. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
What do you think about them possibly, this is just rumor right now, but it seems like it's one of those kind of semi-solid rumors that, it's definitely possible. But what do you think about a battle royale mode set in the Western? Right? I have questions about that, but I want to know what you think, man.
Well, the old Red Dead Online was actually really good. It's just that it kind of died quick because there were so many people that was playing the story instead of the online, and there were some things that they needed to get patched up and worked. If they implemented the same type of work ethic behind the game for the online like they did with 5, then Red Dead would, I think, still be people still playing Red Dead online to this day. But it what I'm saying, it was limited, of course, But this is huge, and we already talked about this. That there was going to be a lot of PUBG clones out there, and there were going to be people that were.
Man.
Yeah, it's already going to start. I mean, you've seen it already with Fortnite. They already did it, so it's just one of them things, man. So it's going to be everywhere. So what that means that competition is good, but PUBG is going to have to, understand that they got competition, and they got to just bring the content and just bring something that keeps that game unique. So, I mean, let's look at Overwatch. There are games that's copying off of Overwatch, but Overwatch still is very
killing
successful.
It, though. But then at the end of the day, they have the name Blizzard behind them, though.
Well, it sometimes, you know what I'm saying, you can have the name behind them, but you still have to have the proper content to make people still keep wanting to play your game. And Overwatch does it beautifully. So, I mean, it's yet to still be determined with what Bluehole is going to do with PUBG. But still, if they have Microsoft as a backer, if they make it exclusive, then you know what I'm saying, we'll see what happens. But I mean, this is smart, and this is Rockstar, man. Rockstar, everybody talks about Naughty Dog, but Rockstar is that studio.
It's the 800-pound gorilla in the industry.
Yeah, they run everything. They are in the top 3 of the best-selling game of all time. Do
you even think 2K games would be around if it weren't for Rockstar? Let's just be honest.
No.
They wouldn't be considered a major publisher if it weren't for that, and maybe one other thing, like NBA 2K. So, I mean, they're a Goliath. I'm more interested in, Predator's probably the biggest PUBG fan of all of us, and I know he's back.
He's back.
I'm wondering if does PUBG coexist with all these big franchises bringing their A game to the same concept as PUBG, or do you think that it's going to get lost in the ether?
I think PUBG is going to be PUBG, and it's going to do PUBG stuff. if they continue to let the game grow, and I mean like more maps, and it sounds like what the devs are saying, they got a snow map coming, a night map coming that they're planning on working on. As long as they continue to add content to it, it'll stay relevant. But the minute they stop, stop producing, like when a game's released at some point, they stop fucking with it, So if it gets to that point, it will fall into the way, because there's not going to be a PUBG 2. It should just be PUBG, and it continues to roll through and roll through and roll through. It's like it's a growing, breathing product. But with all these other games coming out, like the Battlefield's talking about doing the Battle Royale, and I'm sure it's going to come to other franchises as well. Everyone's gonna always refer to it as a PUBG mode, and it's been tagged now. When you hear anything about Battle Royale,
that doesn't mean that it's gonna keep its status, though. Like,
no, you're right, but I think it's the first, and it will be the one that's most remembered.
So you're saying it's probably going to have a Minecraft effect, right? Where there's been a lot of people that copied what Minecraft did, and they have their own spins on it, but Minecraft is the 800-pound gorilla in this particular case, right? It is the OG.
Yeah, and the reason why is because they've continued to add content to it. And that's one of the issues I have with some of these games, like the Destinies and the Divisions and stuff like that. When you have a game with that model, where it's a grind type game, where PUBG isn't, but it needs content, and it needs a lot of content, and it needs it frequently. And as soon as you stop adding content to it, the player base drops off. And then you'll add content to it later, and then it peaks back up for a little while, and then once everybody does what they need to do with the new content, it just drops down again. So with PUBG, they have 2 maps right now, but the thing, I think I tweeted this out earlier this week, is is it starting to lose its luster? Because I'm not hearing a lot of talk about it anymore. You're not hearing people talk about, let's get that chicken dinner. Like when the first week or so it came out, please. Maybe a month. The first month, man, everybody was on it. Everybody's posting their screenshots. Everybody's like, oh, so close, so close. But now it's like it's Monster Hunter. It's it's other games that are taking the limelight right now. Pred, so people are still playing it, but I don't know if it's still.
I was gonna say, Pred, you say that, and I hear you. There's not so many people like on Twitter or social media putting out those screenshots and this and that. But at the end of the day, when I look at my friends list on Xbox Live, there's still like 20, 30, 40 people playing PUBG, and another like 20 people playing Monster Hunter. So it's still it's got that active user base.
But what was it? What was it before that though? Like, I mean, like this, you throw numbers out there. Like, was it?
But
like,
that's to be expected.
About the same.
If you're talking about a drop off, I mean that's to be expected with people.
Exactly, right? And it's slowly going to dwindle down until they have more content, and that's my issue. Like, if they don't continuously feed us, you know, it will just slowly.
You know what they're working on, right? You know the different maps and stuff that they're working on.
Yeah, and but you know, we don't have any clue when those are coming out. It's like Destiny 2. Like, you know, they're coming out with more content, but how often have you played that lately?
I mean, those are all good points.
I want to play it more, but every time I put the gameplay on this show, people start cursing at me, man.
Yeah, and you wanted to win gameplay this week. That's why you left it off. So
yeah, he's still gonna win.
I plead the fifth.
but the thing is, like, I hear where Pred's coming from because, like, I was playing PUBG with Snaps and Bot, and I forgot who else was with us at the time. I think it was of Snap's like coworker or something like that.
Yeah, Kairos or something. Like
yeah, they started to go haywire for the dawn. The reason why is I'm starting to get bored of the map. I'm not gonna lie.
You even said that last night. You're like, man, when's that desert map coming? Like
exactly, and that was where my mindset was. Like, it's not that I dislike the game. I actually enjoy the game for what it is, and they still keep continuing to improve it. And it's come a long ways. Like, I swear, every other week. You know, the stability, at least on my end, has gotten better and better and better. But like, I'm tired of the map. Like, we keep doing on the same map.
I think the desert map should come out soon. I would probably think around E3 or so. That's what I think it would happen.
But Pred's right. Like, you know, and I can only speak for myself as a gamer. But if they don't continue to have additional maps, and those maps become old hat where you kind of just know where you're going all the time and there's really no surprises anymore, then outside of the random loot that's dropped in location, then the sex appeal of the game mode starts to wean, right? It starts to become tiresome.
With you I can see that, but with me, the random loot and my big thing is I love to mark our drop. Like at the beginning of the thing, and I love finding that perfect spot to drop at according to wherever the plane is flying by. That to me is still as exciting as the first time I played the game. So,
but would it be more exciting if you have a whole new area, like that you rotate between the two maps?
I'm not tired of this map yet, though. To be really honest with you, man.
I mean, that's the thing was like on the PC version, like the thing was the same map had different environments. It had fog,
rain,
it had
fog,
rain.
yeah.
Now we don't have that. I don't even think it's on the PC anymore. They kind of took it away for some reason, but like that added a different element to it. It made it seem fresh.
I definitely want fog, man.
Well, I mean, that's the reason why I haven't really jumped in, you know, both feet in, is because that's one of my issues. I want the game to be completed. You know, I want to. I played it, you know, maybe about 10 times. I haven't gotten really fully involved into the game. So, but I enjoy it for what it is. It's a fun social game, but it's the fact that I do, you know, I'm on Don's side of this. It's just that I want more content. I don't want to just be stuck on one map. I want some other elements involved into it. That's what I mean. Look, that's why I'm such a huge Battlefield fan, because they give you so much content that you just can't be bored with that. And so that's, you know, and that's in the same with Halo 5. I mean, you know, it's really crazy because even if you don't play Halo in a long time and then
you go back and play it and it's still fun.
Oh yeah, you're just like, oh my god, how fun this game is. So
Gears was like that too. Like, I hopped in Gears with my nephew and his friend, and we're doing a little horde mode. And we're like, oh, I didn't even realize they had all these maps. So, like, we were just going to hop on for 30 minutes and then hop off. We were on for 3 hours. Because, like, so, yeah, content is key. And then I hear where Bot is. I mean, we're all have different mentalities as gamers. So, like, the fact that Bot's not bored of it, then, you know, it just shows,
I am the best marker when it comes to the drop out of the plane. Guys, if you need somebody to use George W. Bush's hashtag strategery, you will get me on your team and you will let me mark the drop, man. That's all I gotta say.
See, he marks the drop every time, but he always promises weapons of mass destruction, and there's none there. I don't know what's going on with Xbox Smarts, but just shows the mentality. Bot's not bored with it. I am getting kind of bored of it. And Pred's probably played more than all of us combined, and he's feeling the repetitiveness, and then you got K Mega just like, no, you got to do a much bigger splash to kind of get me on board. In regards to that, so and I think that's just important when we look at game reviews and the way people look at games is we all have different views and different opinions and stuff like that. So you just kind of have to figure out what applies to you as a gamer when we talk about this stuff.
And what's the crazy thing about this is that PUBG is not going to die because you could jump back, because I could jump back on that game and have just as much fun as me playing anything else. It's just that, like, I'll find myself playing more multiplayer games when Sea of Thieves come out. I'll be playing more PUBG when they come out with more content. I'll be playing Crackdown.
Crackdown's gonna
and
whole life away.
And then Battlefield will be back, and then Call of Duty Black Ops will be back. So it's just, what I'm saying, I'll be finding myself playing more of these online experiences than I've ever had in my entire life, when I used to play nothing but single player experiences back, just 10 years ago. So it's a whole different. I completely.
I was about to say that
convert.
too with Sea of Thieves coming out. Like, we talk about PUBG's numbers and stuff like that, but like Sea of Thieves numbers are going to be up there too, and it's going to deter people. Not deter. It might take away a little bit from PUBG, and the more of these like highly favorable streaming games come out, it's going to be a telltale sign when Sea of Thieves comes out, but how well PUBG is going to do against those games, because PUBG isn't just competing against, other games that are going to come out with similar gameplay models. They're going to compete against other games that are highly streamable games too. So that's going to be interesting to see how that pans out in the next 8 months.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting. I mean, and then there's other big games that's going to be, implemented in there as well. That's going to have some online, saying, let me look. Far Cry 5 is going to be a big title. So
what's interesting, a lot of it,
they're going back to the root. They're going back to what they did with 3. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So it's going to be this year. It's going to, if people think that the single player is going to rule, they're going to be sadly mistaken, because multiplayer games are coming fast and furious from every different direction. We're having all different types of single player experiences coming out this year.
Siberia. Yo, I told you guys last year it's going to be a big year. This year is going to be a big year, and it's a big year for definitely for people who have an Xbox, but in general for gamers all the way around. 2018, you're going to be able to look back at this year like a couple years from now and be like, damn, that was a huge pivotal year when it comes to gaming on consoles and gaming in general, man. And I stick by that. I'm going to stick by that. A couple years from now, you're going to hear me on next podcast, episode 448, and I'm going to be like, see, I told you guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just going to be a great time, man. It's a great time to be a gamer, because, I mean, we're still going to have strong single-player experiences. But I think the evolution of multiplayer games is now really here. Mm-hmm. And especially if Crackdown is going to deliver on what they say that they're going to do, and then you're going to have people taking away from what PUBG has presented and implement them into their games. It's going to be a really it's an evolution of the online gaming experience. It's going to be amazing.
It is definitely an exciting time. And guys, on that note, we went a little bit over time, but I think we pretty much hit all the important topics in the DM. Again, yo, absolutely love. I've been going back and forth watching YouTube, watching Mixer. I love being able to bring this show over to Mixer as well. And I gotta say, the the full TV experience with playing it on my Xbox One X. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go back to my Mixer channel afterwards and put it up on your TV. Check out the gameplay. Of course, the winning gameplay, which would be mine. You just fast forward to my gameplay and check it out on your TV. You'll see the awesomeness in my gameplay. But guys, it's been a great show, and like a 40-year-old with a comb over, we got to get our plugs in. So, Predator. Again, man, great opinions on the topics we had for tonight. Why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you and how much my gameplay was better than yours tonight? Yeah.
Well, let's see how much gameplay of yours was better than mine. I would none. Let me see. Xbox after party on Sundays. Again, this week I won't be able to do it. My last day in the military is actually tomorrow, so I will be retiring from active duty service. Moving on to bigger and better things. I got
the gold-plated walker. It's being sent in the mail.
So, let me see. Predator _HTOS at on Twitter, on Xbox Live, on PlayStation, on Steam as well. Also have Switch. You can follow my Twitter to get all the information on there. Great show last night with GRG Podcast. I'm gonna plug that one real quick. Hopefully I'll be on. I think I'm at the convince Mooch to put me on Crossfire this Friday. And obviously here next week, and make sure you guys vote for Pred because he had the best gameplay of all. That a little bit of everything there instead of the same old dancing frog and some old guy with white hair rolling around a troll the whole game. And Xbot, of course, he just brought Halo, so of course that's expected. So obviously you guys know I have the best footage, so vote for me.
Damn, shots fired. On that note, K Mega, first of all, do you have a rebuttal for Predator? And then second of all, you know what to do, man. You gotta unroll that scroll and let people know what you're up to and how they can get a hold of you, dude.
Man, look, I don't talk to losers, so there's nothing to say. You know what I'm saying? The winning gameplay is.
You shouldn't talk to yourself. Most people don't like that.
As you guys are doing this, I'm gonna go and refresh the Twitter and see who's actually in the lead right now. So.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, look, Pred, we do understand that, I'm saying, you're still new to the next podcast, and I'm saying, we do try to give you.
How the hell is K Mega winning right now, man?
Woo! Because why? Because I'm a vet, and I told that real. I do it. But anyway, listen, let me just go ahead and do my sign outs. I do appreciate you guys checking us out as always. With my next family. I was about to get real messy with Pred, put him in his place. I'm saying, so
he's feeling happy.
You're on civilian grounds here, sir. That military shit don't fly here, bruh. But we do thank you for your service. So, in the Don, we're tired of the frog. Hopefully the day of the frog dies. If K-Mega wins, the day of the frog dies, ladies and gentlemen. But you can catch me on the GRG podcast every Friday night right after Crossfire. Definitely appreciate Pred coming on. It was really it was the guys' night out because the ladies were not on the show, and of course it got a little crazy, but that's just to be expected when there's no Delilah HD or Lady Infamous to keep us grounded. But it was really fun. Also, you can catch me on the Multiplayer podcast. That is the wildest, craziest podcast I think I've ever been on or ever listened to in my entire life. The King of them all, BGST. And also here on the next podcast, thank you guys so much for rocking out with us, man. And it's always a pleasure. So thank you.
And mega shout out to
Intro Media Gaming, baby.
Pred, I just want to let you know, because of one of the supporters, like from the beginning, Dirty J, because of his typo in the chat, your second name is now Orez. I'm just letting you know.
Orez.
Predator, aka Orez. But Don, do you have a rebuttal for Predator? And of course, let people know what you've been up to. I know you have a YouTube channel. I just don't know how much actual content you've been putting on there, lately.
Whoa.
Lady.
All right.
And then I identify as a
I talk a lot. All right. I'm tired, but let them know, man.
Yeah. Normally, I would just tell you to click on the links below and follow everybody here on the podcast. But since I don't know, Xbox doing something new by leaving all of us out at the bottom here.
Yeah, what the?
The best way to follow me is the Don underscore KTR. Definitely follow XBot as well, so you can vote for our gameplay. And no rebuttal. Just vote, make your vote known, and just let me know in the comment section on XBot's voting. Where do you want my dancing frog to dance on? You want to dance on Predator, XBot, K-Mega's logo? Just let me know. Just make sure that's known there, and you keep it going.
Wow, he's gonna have the Battletoad dancing on one of our logos. Oh man,
boy, that's disgusting. That was disgusting.
I am appalled, sir.
I am. You are filthy. You really messy, Don. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You come off trying to be really civilized and humane, and you're nothing but a savage. I'm tired of you. We got savagery. That's horrible. So no, that's great. And also, I got to do another plug for the GRG podcast. I am getting so much hate. Not Pred, not Livewire, not 100, not Triple Cup, not 108 Dragons, not Lawrence, nobody else but K-Mega. K-Mega hates PlayStation. That's all I'm seeing in the comments. Why do you have a PlayStation if you hate PlayStation so much? You suck. You should die. I'm telling you, I just gave my opinion about the God of War situation with the skipping bosses. I don't understand. I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? I love
it's up there with people that think they know how a game plays just by watching.
At the end of the day, man, people love to hate you, and as long as they keep tuning in and they keep commenting, I mean,
keep voting for his ass, though. What the fuck that's all about?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Dude, it's gotta be. It's the Obama at the end. That's gotta be it, man.
Oh, as much as people hate K-Mega, there's a group that secretly likes him. They don't openly like him, but they secretly like him.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much.
Dare we say a secret society? Somebody put out a memo, please.
The K-Mega got like 8 accounts. He's probably voting for himself.
Oh shit!
I thought I heard typing in the background.
Yo,
I know he's back there.
Yeah. On that note, guys, it is Saturday. The gamers got a game. We got to get the controllers in our hands. Huge shout out, like I said, to everybody who checked us out on Mixer, and of course, the foundation for this show right here on YouTube. Siberia, I am very disappointed in you, by the way, but I'm just saying, I'm not gonna hold that against you. There is a scar right now. I feel hurt. But at the end of the day, guys, I'm going to say, just like I say every Saturday, we will check you out next Saturday for the next podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Vote for Brad.
No, shut up. You shut up. All right, I'm going to cut. I just cut them off. Right now. They're talking, but you can't hear them. Vote for XBot. Vote for XBot. Here we go. Vote for XBot, everybody. I am out. Good night.
Determination to conquer all my ambitions, despite all the conditions. In light of my past decisions, made it to this position, and so my disposition. Not seeing no limits, killing the competition. Yeah, I'm a beast.